Good night to everyone, and welcome to the show. Night, Mr. Sean Hall. How you doing, my brother?
How are you doing, Derek? How are you doing up there in cold Canada?
Right. What's that?
I said, how are you doing up there in cold Canada?
Well, outside is cold, inside is warm, and I'm very excited about this next guest that we have on the show tonight. But before we get started, maybe perhaps we can have a recap on things that happened over the last week, the last show, because we had a big show last week, having a man like Roger Atfield on the program, and perhaps you can mention some stuff that you want to put out there. Anything that you want to put out there before we get started? I know you got one insight, Sean.
Yes, yes. Well, I would really like to thank Roger Atfield and Jim Bannon for the last 2 weeks. We had great shows with these Hall of Famer guys. Um, it really enlightened people more about the business, and we want to continue to do that for people, especially the younger folks in Barbados who seem to watch the show. They get an idea what to expect when they get to the international, industry in this international field of hearing these guys talk, just talk, and it's great for them.
Well, that's just wonderful, man. And we were just chit chatting backstage earlier, and Leroy has some very big shoes to fill. He says after after Mr. Roger Atfield last week. So we just joked about that, but I'm sure he can do it, man. That's the reason why we brought him on this week. So
That's right. I thought it'd be good to bring a guy like Leroy on after those two giants of the horse racing industry. Just shine the spotlight on him, man.
that's right, my man. So, and that being said, are you ready to get started?
Yes. Before one more thing, we know my friend Mark Gamble died last week or so. He'll be buried on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So we expect people to. I think you could go online to see that. So wishing his family once again condolences.
So Saturday, February 26th.
That's right. 3 o'clock.
Okay. All right, that's good, great, man. And I'm sure he's gonna get a big send off, and it's gonna be wonderful, man.
Yes, it
Uh,
will be. Yes,
we just can't forget the people who walked among us. You know what I mean?
that's right.
All right. So on that note, our next guest is Mr. Leroy Trotman. You know what? I'm not gonna say a lot about him because I'm gonna let him introduce and tell us more about himself. I can tell you what, he's a big top jock agent, and he holds the reins for some or one of the biggest jocks around town. So on that note, let's welcome to the stage, my man Leroy Trotman.
Leroy, what's going on, Leroy?
What an introduction, buddy. What an introduction. First of all, let me say my condolences to Mark's family because he was one of us starting from the bottom
That's right.
and worked his way up, and he accomplished a lot, especially up here in Canada also. And it's too bad that, that he's gone and left us. But his name has, and his appearance in the game that we love so much has been great.
Yes,
So
that's right.
there we go.
That's right, Leroy. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate that.
Hey, like I said, he started from where I started too. You know, walking in those stalls barefoot, mucking those stalls with a piece of cardboard. Remember those days, Sean? I mean, and
Yes,
then work
yes.
his way up. So, you can't forget one of us.
That's right. That's
And
right.
horse racing is one thing about horse racing. It's a family. No matter how bad things might be when things like that happens, it's amazing how much we come together. And that's
That's
one
right.
thing I love in horse racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching all the comments online earlier this week and so forth, and nothing but love for
Yes.
Mark Gamble, and
Yes.
and that's always good to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good, man.
Well, Leroy, you know
Yes.
this show. This show is about your journey.
Yes.
I want to hear about your journey, brother. I mean,
Wow.
listen, 'cause I know you. We've got our career crossed one another from very young.
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember riding a horse coming from Sturgis.
Yeah. Done. Yeah. What's his name?
Sailor,
Yeah.
Sailor
Sailor
Drum.
Drum. Sailor Drum. Yes.
Ricky
Sailor
used to
Drum.
ride Little Drum. I used to
Little
ride
Drum.
Sailor Drum.
Ricky actually won my very first race as a groom on little drum
All
and
right.
as a groom. Yeah. So yeah. So
And
we go.
that would be about 1982.
Oh my
Or,
God, we gone real far back. Like, don't let them know how old we are, Sean. Please.
the reason why I said that, because I know that was small Sean. That was small Sean Young. I was still small. It was a big Sean.
No, no,
Look,
no.
you guys are
Oh,
talking. You talk
yeah.
about 1982. You know, don't expose our ages. But look at me, my white beard. Look at you two. You look like little boys. You too. You look like young boys.
But that's from when I knew Leroy. I mean,
Yes,
working with Dr. Ward,
yes,
and
yes,
from those days we had a good relationship.
yes, yes,
But we went that way to Canada. We came to Canada. Our journey headed us that way. You're still there fighting the battle. I
yes,
got wounded, and I'm
yes. But you're still in
on the
it.
sideline watching.
Not really in the sideline. You're still in it, though. You're still in it. You know, you're never out of it. You know what I mean?
That's
Like I
right.
was like I read an article. I saw a little note was saying something one day, and I saw it says, you know, when life hits, you know, when life hits, losers say, "Why me?" Winners say, "Try me." You know,
Right.
so you're not out of it. You're still in it.
I'm still in battle. I'm still
There
in
you
battle.
go. There you go.
But
So
we went started from very far. Tell me your journey from Barbados, how you got to Canada, and
okay.
from there.
Well, horse racing wasn't my first thing because I wasn't a big horse racing fan. My dad worked for the Odals, like you would know, in the
Okay.
hotel, and I used to
Yes.
listen to my dad and my brother listening to horse racing on the radio.
Right.
And as a kid growing up, I always asked them like, "Why do you listen to that foolishness?" I always said, you know what I mean, not knowing that it would be what I would end up in.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys had read the article on me growing up. I grew up in a bit of an abusive family,
Yes.
you know,
Interesting.
and
Interesting.
being the split image of my father, you
Mhm.
know, it got thrown on me. And me, from a young age, didn't understand it. So, you know, I end
It's
up,
great that at least you could talk about it now, though.
I was
yeah,
just about to say,
Yeah.
it's good that
yeah,
you can say that
I
because a
mean,
lot of
you
people
talk
need to
about it
hear these
very
things.
very freely, and I
yeah.
commend you for that.
And why I can speak about it very freely because coming to Canada has taught me something. And how much people and youngsters and Barbies can say they went through what I went through? A lot, not a little bit, a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Can say that. And why I say that is because I'm hoping that um, doing saying these things would show youngsters out there that you know what, no matter how bad things might have been,
Yes.
you can better yourself or make a change in your life to for the better, not for the
Yes.
worse. Because a lot of youngsters that go through this, they end up with in the wrong company and
Yes.
doing some of the wrong things and not realizing, you know what, you can better yourself. You don't have to continue down that road. So, you know, I'm hoping that I can change one or two people's life by sharing my story and understand like, hey, there's better out there for you. You just have
Right.
to pursue it and hope with the grace of God, which I, you know, did a lot of reading in my Bible and to help me go further. So back to I said growing up in an abusive family, seeing I never saw my mother did anything wrong. Not
Mhm.
all I saw my mother did is work hard.
Right.
But yet still my father abused her. And as a youngster, you keep wondering why and why till you know
How,
like
but the question I'm going to ask you now: how was your relationship with your father
it, it
since
wasn't it
then?
wasn't it wasn't great till I got older. Till I
Mhm.
got older, I didn't had a great relationship in my house with my family.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because after that was going on, and like I said, I'm the split image of my father. So
Right.
when my mother saw me and my brother saw me, all they saw was my father. So
Right.
seeing me, it brings out that anger and that memory of what they had to go through. So
Right.
I had to suffer the consequences of it, you
Okay.
know?
So you mean to tell
And
me your own brother used to?
yeah, my own brother did it to me. My own
Wow.
brother. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna mention one of the incidents my brother did to me. My
But
brother,
Leroy, I
yeah.
always knew he was a big guy, though. I
Big.
mean,
Well, I don't know if bigness doesn't always mean, you know, I mean, you can't get an ass whipping. Sorry for
but
using it that way.
unless you're telling me your brother is bigger than you.
He, my brother is bigger than me. My brother is bigger than me. My brother was weight training before me. My brother actually weight trained was one of Roy Callender's weight training partners.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh
Yes,
dear.
yeah. So
Okay.
my brother was,
I need to say no more.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. But again, going back to what I went through doing that, you know what I mean? And I passed the exams and went to and got to high school. My brother didn't do that.
Mhm,
So and then on the street, I end up with the wrong company,
mhm.
hanging out with the wrong company. And when getting into horses was I was walking to school. I used to walk to school sometimes, going to West St. Joseph High School. And
Mhm.
there's Peter Ward's, as you know, his farm is
Yes,
very close
yes.
where my house was. And one particular day, out of the blues, and oh, let me just step back a bit. We in primary school they give us a little red Bible as a New Testament.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Right, yes.
Well, that was one of my saviors, along with Bob Marley. Listen to
Okay.
Bob Marley's music and that Bible, reading it every night before I go to bed. So I'm gonna cry myself to bed, just begging God to just please help me.
Mhm.
And going to school, I decide one day I hear those horses calling. And I say, you know what? Let me go check this out, man. They're either calling me or trying to tell me something. I'm gonna just go check this out. And I decided to too. And you know what? There was a feeling, Sean.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had gone around horses had that feeling, but there was a feeling like, wow, this feels different. There's
Mhm.
something about this, you know what I mean? And I got to get around those horses, and some days they thought I was at school. I was there hanging out, didn't go to school. You know what I mean? And but what we call in Barbados playing truant
Yes, yes, sure.
instead of going to school. So I ended around those
What we
horses,
want to call it, yes.
yeah, and I start falling in love with those horses, and I felt something that those horses were giving me that I wasn't getting at home.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? And I didn't earn a penny from it,
mhm.
but I stuck doing it. And Boston John was actually the guy that was running there at the time
Okay.
with Ward, with Peter Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
His son is at the track now, Kenny
Yes,
John. Yes.
yes. So Boston John was there, and the year come up that it was time they kicked me out of school at
Okay.
15. 15, I was out of school at 15 years old.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I didn't have the greatest education.
All right.
But you know what I mean, I was pretty street smart because I was hanging
Yes.
out with a lot of bad company, doing the things that I shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
then things got better with the horses. Like Peter Ward started to see something in me that no one was seeing. John saw something in me that no one. And one of
Yes.
the things that really pushed me was my work ethic, because something
Yes.
my mother told me from a very young age that I'll never turn out to be nothing. So I took that, and I still have that chip on my shoulder today,
Yes.
those
Yes.
words. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yes.
And I decided, you know what? The company that I was hanging out with wasn't where I wanted to go. There's some place over there better for me. And that I can see it ahead of me, but I just have to work hard and see where it takes me. And I start working with those horses. I start putting in the work. I start learning. I wanted to be an exercise rider. And I remember Boston John give me a saddle, a horse, and put me in a paddock and says, okay, there you go. If you want to be exercise rider. And he went back inside the place that he was living, which he was living on a room on the farm. And he
Mhm.
left me out there by myself. And I wonder, why is this guy doing this to me? And he just wanted to see how tough this was, my heart.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
And that
uh-huh.
was his secret to that. And
Yes.
I proved him like, hey, I got a big heart for this. So he came and started teaching me. He started showing me a lot of things. And I was like a sponge, Sean,
Yes.
a sponge. I just soak up everything. And I didn't need a penny. I didn't want a penny. I'm going to, you know what? Okay, this is a beautiful game. I want to be in it. And I wasn't allowed to go down to the track or nothing yet. I was
Mhm.
too young, and they didn't want to take me down there and stuff like that. But I
Right.
stuck it out. And I start to enjoy it more and more and more. And Roy Ward started to see a lot of potential in me, and he started to teach me a lot of things. And they actually, when I started to get paid, my first paycheck was $25. You know what I mean? But again, it wasn't about the money. I
Yes.
saw something. I saw the bigger picture way
Okay.
ahead of me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something with this, and I continue working. I continue making something of it, until I got to the point where I became the top exercise rider for that farm. You know,
Yes.
I was exercising all the horses up there. You know, breaking horses, everything, doing. all the things till war decided, you're to the age you can go get your driver's license.
Mhm.
You can become the head lad of the thing. And with the European rules where it's head lad, not assistant, I became the
Yeah.
head lad, everything.
I remember you being
And
demand, man. I remember that.
yeah, and like I said, I worked my way towards that, and with the
But
help of guys.
did that prepare you for your journey? I mean,
Yes,
because
yes,
I knew what you did for Steve Owens, Buckaroo,
yeah.
my brother from another mother.
Well,
You know what
there
I
you
mean?
go. Well, it was actually my brothers who told me about the contract that coming to Canada. And again, let me say something. You yourself, Ricky and Anthony husbands, thank God for you guys, because you guys paved the way for us getting up here. So again, you know what I mean? My hat goes off to you guys.
Sounded like
And
that was a joint effort, man,
yes,
from those guys, because it
yes,
seems like that was a big movement back in the 80s.
yes, yes. You guys paved the way for us, and we got up here. And when I first came up here, I was working for Gord Huntley.
Right.
you know. And how I met Steve is that Gord Huntley was the kind of guy. His style of thing was something similar to Laurie Severe's own. He would
Yes.
buy at least 22-year-olds.
Yes.
And I've never seen a 2-year-old being broken. That's the first time in my life I ever see 2-year-olds breaking 15 2-year-olds broken in one day. And this thing, put a saddle on them, turn them loose in a paddock, let them buck it out.
Yes.
After that, you put the bridle on, and then a rider gets on and start riding them around. It was like, wow. You know what I mean? Coming from little Barbados, you're doing these kind of things. But with Gord Huntley, his thing was buy those 2-year-olds, and sometimes by July, August, I think
Yes.
they're all gone. So now
Yes.
you have to look for work.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
you finish so early by him. And Steve was in the same barn as Gord Huntley.
Mhm.
Steve, Richie Papa, and Brown was there in the same barn. And when you finish with Huntley, you got so much time on your hand. Canada was a place not like Barbados where you're only getting to rub 2 horses. You're
Yes.
making $50 per horse,
Yes.
back in those days and stuff
Yes.
like.
Yes.
You come to Canada, you're rubbing 5 horses. What I mean, you get a good paycheck, you get in the bonus,
Solid.
you get, what I mean, all those things. But being able to finish work early with Gord Huntley, you're still able to go around the racetrack, maybe work with the blacksmith holding some horses,
Yes.
making $10 a horse for holding a horse, or
Yes.
going freelance running some horses in the afternoon. You know what I mean? All those things you were able to do. And when
To
I saw
do.
all
Yeah.
of that, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, these opportunities
It's
are
a gold
unbelievable.
mine. The place is a gold mine for
Yeah,
fellas coming up because a lot of our guys are accustomed to working, man.
yeah, yeah. And you know what I mean? For us, that was like, wow, you can make so much money here. You just have to put in the effort and just get it done. And
Yes.
at the same time, you know what I mean? One thing we learn back home is respect. We always thought, and on our day growing up around the racetrack, we had a lot of guys to look up to, not like the youngsters today,
Yeah, we
right?
don't have that much now. I'm sorry. I mean, that was
Yeah.
I think it passed. I
You,
don't see much
you,
respect now.
no, no,
Oh, really?
but
No,
no, no, the youngsters today. I mean,
no,
hey, the kind of world we're living in today with these youngsters. But around the racetrack, you had to earn you respect your elders, and I mean, we got into little things here and there, but nothing like today.
no,
But
no.
it was, you're able to speak, yes sir, no sir, to people around you, and Mr. and Mrs. and all that kind of thing. You learn from that. So being here, you see all these trainers and stuff like that, and although you're hearing guys calling them by their name, our thing was we still, Mr.
Yeah,
this or Mr. that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I still carry that with me, because you know what, I saw something that, hey, there's the opportunity. If I earn my respect with a lot of people around here and gain that respect from these people, how far will it take me?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm always thinking ahead all the time, because I didn't want to go back to Barbados to be, you know what I mean, treated the way I was treated before. And plus that chip on my shoulder when my mother tell me I'm not going to turn out to be nothing. And my intentions, what, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Mhm.
You know
I
what I
want
mean?
I want to I want to peel back to that era.
Yeah.
Just briefly. No, I don't want to stay on it too long because it sounds like it's a very painful time.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if do you find that was a normal, like, was it semi-normal growing up in Barbados for
Normal,
that
not
kind of
semi.
activity?
Normal. It was normal, not semi. It wasn't semi. It's normal. I mean, and and that's one of the things that kind of, you know changed my life too. You know what I mean? Not for the worse, for the better,
Hmm.
because you grow up seeing it happen, and the feeling going through it, that feeling. And I know a lot of youngsters take it and use it the wrong way. They end up in the wrong company and go down the wrong road. And especially today, there's nobody to say, hey, you're doing the wrong things. It's not going to get in the way. It's going to get you behind bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it changed me, and for the better, to make me who I am today. And I will be, if I can again change two people's life by somebody listening to say, hey, Leroy, you've been down that road. What it is that made you change, how you will be able to change. And like I said, I put a lot of my faith in God. I put a lot of faith in listen to Bob Marley. I know every one of Bob Marley music. Every one of them. I can sing
Right.
every one of them by heart.
I still listen to Bob. All
Well,
right.
I'm telling you. And it's not about just being about the Rasta part of it, is what
No.
his words were saying.
Message,
The
the message,
message that he was sending to you. So
Correct.
that's why I said I knew that, and I still up to the day I still play the music. The only kind of music I listen to is reggae music, but it has to be conscious. If it's not nothing conscious, I don't want to listen to it. If it's not that's gonna provide me with some information to better my life, I don't want to listen to it. Same thing in horse racing.
Yes,
You know what I
yes.
mean? And that's me. So back to where, meeting Steve Owens, I was able to finish work with Gard Huntley, and I realized Steve would needed a little help down there. And I got to know Steve and got to be friendly with him and everything. And when Gard Huntley laid me off, I went straight to Steve
Yes.
and I said, hey, I need something to do. And he said, with open arms,
Yes.
open arms. You never hesitate to say no. And my thing was that I'm gonna bust my butt working for whoever give me the opportunity.
Do you find that because of your work ethic, it got you that reputation that
Of course,
people.
Of course. Yeah, man.
of course. Who doesn't like a hard worker, Derek?
Yeah, but all of us who went to Canada and got some sort of success. I mean,
Yeah.
just going back from Ricky to Turks, Anthony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Myself working with Lawrence
Yeah.
Berry. Lawrence Berry always tell people I was a workaholic.
Yeah.
'Cause you just go in there and work,
And it goes
Leroy is the same cut from the same cloth of all of
Yeah.
us who went
Yeah.
before him.
hard work, man. Hard work can kill nobody yet, Derek.
No.
Oh no.
It doesn't kill nobody yet. It makes
Makes you stronger.
It makes you stronger. You know what
I
I mean?
think also too the passion for horses.
Well,
All
you
of us
have to
have
have
that passion also.
You have to have that.
I think
You know what I mean?
coming from, and as you said earlier, you would. I didn't say I said it before, but say it again. We would do it for free.
For
You
free.
don't have to pay us.
Yeah, for free. You know what I mean? Because how many youngsters we had behind us as lightweights working
Yes.
for us, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And they were there every day. But sometimes before they go to school, they come and hang out at the track radio, and before they go to school, you know what I
So
mean?
what age was it when you figured out that you want to be involved in horses?
15. At 15,
John, how old was it for you?
Pardon?
How old was it for you?
I was 14 when I started riding at the garrison in races.
Oh.
I got my exercise license at 12.
There you go. There you go. And
15.
I was the baby in the crowd. I mean, with Ricky and Turks and all those guys, I was the youngest person. Matter of fact, when I was in first form at school,
yeah,
Turks
you guys
was
were
in
still going to
third
school.
form. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Ricky was a year older than me.
Yeah, I remember Rick used to come and gallop and then leave and go to school.
That's right.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
all.
those days.
We all
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah. So, like I say,
That's amazing, man. I was just curious about when did you come to Canada?
I came to Canada in 1990. That
Mhm.
was when I came, because those Sean and those guys were up. The other guys that came.
I came in 89, and Ricky and Turks
Yeah.
came in 87.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of guys came up in front of me in '89 too.
But the thing
Yeah.
about it is that I went to India and Australia. I went to India in 83
Yes.
and 84, and
Well, you were traveling with your dad, right? You
I was
did,
traveling a
you
lot.
got exposure. You got a lot of exposure. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah,
it,
which
like,
is great.
especially when I got success winning races in India and Canada, those places. I mean, Ricky and Turks and those guys, they took it to a different level. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They took it to a different level than what I did. I mean, I was just traveling with those guys, but these guys went out and then brought me in. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
Brought
yes,
me in.
yes.
So Ricky got me my first job at Ian Howard and Travis Swan.
Well,
So
there you go.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a big we all brought one another along in some way in this business. I mean, and it's
Right.
still good to see you doing what you're doing, evolving as human.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I remember somebody did an article with me here, and I like the title that they put at the top of it: "A Wealth of Experience."
Yes, of
You,
course.
you know what I mean? And I mean things like that. You know what I mean? You cherish things like that. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So again, we go back to with Steve again, and I remember Steve was so trustworthy of me and the hard and with my hard work and stuff like that. He actually, when he would the end of the season go, I would go and stay at his place, and him
yes,
and his wife would leave and go away and
yes,
leave me taking care of the whole place.
yes,
You know what I mean? And I got the job done because,
yes.
again, the opportunity of some person giving that to you is like you're either
You know
gonna
what?
say,
I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because
yeah,
these sort of things we never experienced in Barbados,
no, no,
right?
no,
For myself, working with Laurie Severe, I remember when I first started with Laurie Severe, and he would come ask me, Sean, what do you think? What
yeah,
should we do? This should we do that? And it was like, I can't believe. I mean, because I am Barbados, all I know we just take orders.
yeah,
But that's a systematic thing
Yeah,
because
nobody
we
on.
all know in Barbados, you pretty much or you just do as you're told, right? At
yes,
least
Yes,
that's what they say. Just
and
do
if
as
you
you're
come back
told.
and say something that somebody don't like, you don't get back
Trouble.
in a horse. You know what I mean?
well,
That kind of stuff.
exactly, that's
But
exactly.
when Laurie Severe was asking my opinion, at first it took me a little while to like, is this a joke? You know what I mean? You don't want my opinion, and
Oh, I mean,
I,
Leroy knows this. Like
yeah,
you you don't get paid for just doing things. You get paid for your knowledge, for
Yes,
what you can
yes,
bring to the table,
yes,
yes,
all these
yes,
things. So
yes,
Sean and I we speak a lot about these things, and
yeah,
and Sean is working on some things in Barbados to actually get these young jocks, these young guys to get to this point where they're able to make these decisions all by themselves, handle themselves, be able to evolve just like you did,
yeah.
and I think it's a wonderful thing.
But
yeah,
going back to what you just said there, Derek, again, with a lot of youngsters today, because now they're saying children having children,
mhm,
right?
Hmm.
And it happened a lot in the Caribbean, a lot.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you're saying children having children, these children are having children. Some of them haven't even experienced life yet,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they're already having kids. Now,
yeah,
these same kids that are at the racetrack that is trying to be jocks and stuff, and I don't want to say in a bad way, they don't really have no structure because nobody's there teaching them
mhm,
right from wrong. And I should say right from wrong, but the right way to go, because now you can't even speak to them. You tell to speak to them, they might tell you, and they use the F word and tell you go, if yourself off. And because they don't have no respect for you. We growing up, I mean, we might say it once or twice already with our mouth, but or down in our throat, or you know what I mean, behind their back or something. But we had to, show some respect. Maybe you've got wrong guys like Bill Marshall and all those guys like that. You know what I mean? We had to, because Bill wasn't easy either, right, Sean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah, he
But
was.
He was
since
rough.
you brought it up, I want to ask you this because since you're the big agent for the big
Jock.
jock, and
Yeah.
if no one knows by now, you're the agent for Patriot Husbands. Am I
Yes.
right or wrong?
Yes. And
Yeah,
along with Sahin Savashi, don't leave out my other job.
yeah,
I got
Oh,
two.
okay.
So
So hang
let's.
on a second. So let's just tap back. Let's kind of stick right there.
Yeah.
So Leroy, let me
Yes.
talk it. That's the reason why Peters get all them surprise mounts and win them big them big
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
shots.
Hold
Is
on.
that why?
Surprise mounts. You said surprise mounts. That's not surprise mounts. That's the hard work of the agent. So let's not use our word surprise.
But I mean for the audience, for the
Okay,
fans,
for the
right?
fans, yeah. But I just
Like
got
I'm watching on TV and I'm seeing the commentators that's like, wow, did you see that? That was 25-1.
yeah,
Is it because of you?
well, it's teamwork. It's teamwork. It's just like being Sean as a trainer. It's just not about Sean. It's about the grooms,
the
the hot
team.
walkers,
You're
and
right.
the horse too. Let's not leave
Yeah,
out the teamwork work, right?
yes,
And that's why I am a guy who don't like being a golfer. I don't want to be a tennis player
mhm,
because the pressure's on you. I like a team sport.
yes.
Right?
But
So I don't want to use the term that is because of me that getting them. Also, with your job writing at a certain level, it always makes your job as an agent a little easier
mhm,
because everybody wants a winner.
mhm,
Nobody wants the guy that's finishing last all the time, right?
Right.
Nobody wants the horse that is finishing last all the time. Somebody, let's get rid of him. Let's find a horse that can do the job. Let's find a trainer that can do the job. Let's find a job that can get the job done. So, with the help of your job winning, it makes your job a little easier.
So which leads me to this. So I can only imagine Savinci might have some mounts to fill this season because is he retired or is he not
Let's
retired?
let's not count. Let's not count him out yet. That's not official. So let's not count him out yet. All right.
I agree with you, Leroy.
He's not count him out yet because we can't go. We can't go like that.
No.
There's a lot of people who wants to see him back.
Well, those people might get their wish.
Ah.
So let's get back to where we were before we get to it being an agent, because you know what, I don't want to leave out the coming from the bottom part, because you know what, I didn't get to the top just because of Patrick Husbands. I got to where I am along with Patrick Husbands. So let's not forget, because people like Sean, yes sir,
you've done everything you touched, though. You gotta admit that.
Grace of God. The grace of God.
Everything
it's been the grace of God.
Every stable you went into,
it's been the grace of God.
You just look like even when you were a vet tech, you look cute doing it.
Well, Roger Atfield said, remember Roger Atfield said he wanted that when you go over there with an $8,000 horse.
That's right. That's
you
right.
want to look good going over
there. That's right, man.
So,
that's right.
You know what I mean?
And I remember you when you were in that in paddock or whatever. I see you and Reed Baker, and you always looked like you was a important type of person, and that's the kind of demeanor that you took.
I was important there, not look like.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying when you brought the stage presence. You know what I'm saying?
Presence with it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, when you given an opportunity, you know what I mean. That the opportunity I was given.
Yes.
I want to make every bit of use of it in the most classiest way possible.
Yes.
So when I'm done and gone, people can say, you know what? I can't say nothing bad about that guy.
Yeah.
Everything that he did it with class.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to what I'm talking about with those youngsters again. You know what I mean? And this is something that you're hoping that you just touch somebody to show, hey, listen, we're in Canada, and that guy come from Little Barbados, which is a racetrack of 6 furlongs, Sean.
Yeah,
I mean, how many horses on the racetrack? All those things. But look where he is today. When we talk about Michael Stout from Barbados, but we're not talking about, if I count in on my head, there's 17 other guys up here that became trainers from Barbados. Yes. You know what I mean? And my list goes on. I want to mention a couple of those guys' names while we're here. You know what I mean? Winston Wilkerson, Carlos Grant, Ted Holder, Rodney Barrell, Randy Thompson, Keith Edwards, Ricky Griffith, Ryan Jones, Anthony Husbands, Desmond Maynard, Sean Hall, Robert Pierce, Ronald Burke, Steve Gaskin, Nigel Burke, which is Ronald Burke's son, David Adams, an assistant trainer, Brent Harris as an assistant trainer. All these guys are Barbadians.
Yes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And some of those guys even have shears and horses in their barn. Mm-hmm. So let's remember.
That's a big chunk of the industry, man.
Yeah, let's remember these things. This little fella here produced a lot of good horsemen, man.
It's true. It's true.
And you got Safi Jovis in the States and in America doing pretty good for himself too, right? So let's not forget about these guys. I want you guys.
All right, what I'm gonna ask you now.
Yes.
What do you think it is that make so much of us from such a small island shine so bright on that international stage?
It goes back, and I mean, a lot of these guys come from the racetrack we were working with. You probably get 1-2 horses to rub, Sean. Yes. Right? I'm looking at from this point of view. That was only at that time, I know it was like say $50 a horse, and races was only once a week, right? And you had to have that horse ready. Because if you don't have that horse ready, you're going to hear all week going into that race how much licks you're going to get. You know what I mean? And you, the one that have the biggest mouth and got the licks, Sunday morning, you better walk in the paddock with your head down, because you're going to get ripped in half from everybody. So the competitiveness of these guys, I remember those days. Those things make me very competitive. And
Yes.
like me, for a guy that used to have to bring horses from the farm down to
Yes.
the track,
Soldiers.
that
Yes.
wasn't easy. So you have
Yes.
to come down to the track, guys from Melrose and all that, prepared.
Yes.
And I want to go back. I don't mean to rub this in your face a little bit, Sean,
Uh-huh.
but the great PU that you get to rub, I got to bring a horse from the country and give you a whipping. You know what I mean? I don't want to. Again, I don't mean to be.
Listen.
I don't,
Sean, no, Sean and Leroy, hang on one
Listen.
second, because
yes,
I gotta admit,
yes,
I have an idea what you're talking about,
yes.
but I want you to break it down. And you say you're rubbing a horse because I have an idea, but I
Yes.
want you to tell me what rubbing a horse means.
Grooming. I'm just
Grooming.
using that
Okay,
North
You
all right,
American,
that's
grooming
clear.
you
That's
a
clear.
horse
That's
that
clear now.
Rennie Latch. And I still remember it because
Yes.
it's one of those things. I was the last boy to ride PU
You, yeah.
in G class. I think it was. It was lower down.
It was
and
lower
got
down. Wasn't
beat
that
with him.
low, but it was lower down. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
lower down.
Yeah, but I mean, I caught him on his downtime anyhow too, right? You know what I mean? I didn't caught him in his prime time. So, but I still give him a whip. Beating is a beating no
did.
matter what, right?
It was a beating, man.
Yeah. So
You had-
again,
You
that
carried
goes
100 pounds, and it was about 130.
yeah.
And
Well,
you got your job done.
bringing all the factors now that why you got beat, right?
That's a little competition here going on.
Yeah. So again, but this Derek is the question. What Sean just said. This is what made us so good at what we did, because the competitiveness
Right.
that we brought to the table. You know what I mean? And when we came here to Canada, I can name. I don't want to name trainers, but there had a few trainers here that weren't doing great. But when they employed those Barbadian guys, you saw the percentage went up.
The stock went up, man.
They start went up because the guys put in the effort. You know what I mean? So that made. And again, among each other, to the competitiveness of each other, it kind of pushed each other to, you know what I mean, to get to that next level. And a lot of guys took advantage of it and did that. You know what I mean? And for me, I wanted to always be better. I had that chip on my shoulder already from growing up as a kid. So, you know what I mean? I want to be better. I just didn't want to be, you know what I mean, a groom. I want to get further. And being around Steve Owens, that opportunity came when, again, he trusts me to take care of his farm. And I remember one of the things, Steve wouldn't even call me call me from where he was on vacation to say, "Hey, Leroy, is everything okay there?" You know when I would know that Steve is back home? When the dog is barking, he's driving up the driveway. So the trust that guy gave me was like, wow. And then one day we're driving down to the track, and he says to me in the truck, "Hey, Leroy, why don't you go get your sister's license?" I was like, what? Okay. Okay. You know what I mean? And that's how I became an assistant trainer. So from Steve and his wife, I have so much I owe to them guys for what the opportunity at the door that they opened for me. You know what I mean? They treated me not just like an employed person that they employed me. They treated me like family.
Wow.
Like family. Steve was never scared to put his hand in his pocket to give. He was never afraid to do that. So working with Steve and became his assistant trainer, I formed a group of guys around me, and I pull in a lot of my guys that, you know what I mean, I knew, and I form a team. And in every, outfit you work for, any team that you're on, you want to have the best around you. And forming the best around you, you at yourself have to be a leader. And doing that, it taught me to lead and lead by example. You know what I mean? Just don't come in the morning and start telling the guys, do this, do that. Get in there with them and do it with them. And let's do it, form something together and make something out of it. And I'm very good at motivating. You know what I mean? And I said, listen, guys, sometimes if a guy kind of falling and still going to pushing that guy down, lift him up.
Yes.
Pick him up, you know what I mean? You might have to straighten a guy out, telling him certain things because he's not doing the job that he's capable of doing. Instead of going and taking him and pushing him down, squeeze him a little bit and then come back and pick him back up and say, hey, come on, let's go do it together and get it done. And that taught me leadership. And with Brown Steve, you know what I mean? And he helped me and pushed me, and he treated us, and we became a family together there.
But let's talk about Highland Legacy then, since we're on Steve. I mean, Troutman award-winning 2-year-old.
Yes.
I mean,
well, again, and again, I remember Steve had bred the mother, and he had bred another horse with that too. And they, both of them came out there, and both horses where one was more a sprinter and Highland Legacy, he was only bred to say to go 7 aces as far as he was the city would go. You know what I mean? But that horse, like he was running for himself and his mother, because his mother died at his birth.
Okay.
So it looked as though that horse was running for himself and his mother.
Which horse was this?
A horse
Highland
called
Legacy.
Highland Legacy.
I remember it well because Steve
You
gave
end
me
up
the confidence to send it to Florida me.
yes,
And
yes,
one thing I can say with Steve, man, he always let people know that these horses were
with
Sean
you.
the Capital's horse,
And that's
always
Steve.
talk about it.
And that's Steve. You know what I mean? People used to
Right.
say that he's, he's a little mouthy and stuff like that, but that's Steve. Steve was Steve that way. But when it comes to, exposing somebody and telling
Yeah.
people and caring and stuff like that, Steve has got a huge heart.
The next year I had 40 horses to take to Florida, man.
There you go. You know what I mean? So Highland Legacy came about and we ended up winning 3 stakes with him straight, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I never forget, it's so funny because again, that little bit of mouthiness came out of me because I rubbed him.
Yes,
And he was running against a horse that Rajatfi had called 10 Flat,
yes.
right? That David Clark was riding. And that horse loved the mud.
Yes.
And the date he was supposed to run the race was 7/8. And I remember Nancy at that time was Robert Landry's agent, and she walked through the barn. And I said to her, being my cockiness again, said to her, tell Roger, my horse is tied to the pole out there. And Derek, in horseman's terms, I've already win the race. So he's tied at the pole, and the winning pole out there. You know what I mean? and Steve turned to say to me, Leroy, don't get so cocky. I said, Steve, nobody's beating this horse. Why I should say that, Sean, is when you're training a horse or grooming a horse, and you can see the way he's going towards a race. Eating well, he's training well. Everything about him is just showing you, hey, I'm good to go. And that's what the horse was showing me. You know what I mean? As a groom, it was showing me that he was good to go. And the other beautiful thing about that, it started raining that morning, and we still had a dirt track. And I remember Mark ran something used to gallop him. And Mark galloped him in the mud one day and never forget it. Come back and says, Leroy, this horse loves the mud. I said, really? So again, I got cocky again in the barn that same morning. The rain started to come down and the lightning started to flash. And I said, boys, God is taking my picture already, man. And we win the race. You know what I mean? And then he went on and won the Carnation for Futurity that, for the distance that he had to run. And, and unfortunately, they always say the Carnation for Futurity is like, a bad, what would they call it? Like karma race to horses. That how many horses? The Carnation for Futurity went on and do good. Not very many horses did it. He came back after he came back from Florida and he started stall walking. We had to put a goat with him and all sort of things.
He wasn't the same horse that went.
No.
As a 2-year-old when he came to me. When he came to me as a 3-year-old. He wasn't the same horse that he was as a 2-year-old, man. Yeah, no, he wasn't. You know what I mean? And I know some people, and I listened to some trainers spoke before about, taking your 2-year-old and having to run that distance sometimes can hurt them for their future going forward. Some horses can't take it right away. Some horses have to go into doing that and mature to doing that. And to me, that is what hurt him. You know what I mean?
Is that a Canadian bred horse?
Yes. So. Go ahead.
But why one also know because of the we lost all those horses in the fire.
Yes.
How did that affect you going forward?
Mentally, you know what I mean? It affected me because you got so attached to those horses, Sean. You know what I mean? You get up, you see that those horses that even Steve bred some of those horses at his home. You see them grow up on the farm. You see them, with the mother and stuff like that. So, it was a heartbreaking to you because, and then now your family is gone.
Yeah.
Your family's gone. The horses, the guys you work with is gone. Now everybody's got to look for a job somewhere else, everything like that. You know what I mean? And saying that, one of those things that helped me earn a lot of respect around the racetrack because with the vets coming in and able to communicate with them every day. And the day that fired one of those vets, which was Peter Batcher, he says to me, hey, you have a job tomorrow. Fire was today. He said, you have a job tomorrow. Show up at the clinic tomorrow. You have a job. You know what I mean? So I start working, and that's how I became a vet assistant.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I said to them,
assistant.
Yes, I became a vet assistant.
So you started off as a rubber.
Yes, groom.
Then you move on to
A vet
What was next?
assistant, vet assistant.
Okay.
Yeah, and when but I told him when Steve gets back on his feet, I'm going back to work with him. I'm not gonna run away from the guy, and that's one of the things too with me. Loyalty means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Means a lot to me. You know what I mean? Because I got a better opportunity, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna run to it in that kind of way. Especially when some person has done so much for me. I haven't forgotten the things that he's done for me. And had not for him, I wouldn't have had an assistant trainer's license. And he paid me well, and he took care of the boys around us and took care of us. So I went back and worked for him. And then after that, things kind of went downhill with with Steve and stuff like that. So I end up went back to the vet assistant, and I was working at Canadian Tire also. So I was working at Canadian Tire during the night and going straight to the racetrack from Canadian Tire and working. Yeah.
Oh, which one was that?
Pardon me?
Which Canadian Tire was that?
The one on Steeles and Bramley Road.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I was working nights there and coming from there straight to the track, and I was able to do
You're
that.
a hard worker, man.
Well, hey, remember that chip on my shoulder? That chip on my shoulder. You know what I mean? I got to prove something wrong to somebody. So
before you go on, it's interesting you say that because I'm pretty sure Rocco Boyne have a similar kind of chip. He's a hard worker. He says no, you don't take nothing for granted. Nothing was laid out for him, so he got to work hard and keep that same chip.
Yeah. Well, I like me
I like
talking to these guys. I like both of them the same type of guy.
Yeah, I like one of the things he said about the rum shop. You know what I mean? Instead of hanging out in the rum shop, you can be someplace else doing something to improve yourself. And I like something about that. What I love. I don't know him that down. I only know him from seeing him and hearing his name and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I only met him in Barbados the one year I went back down there, and he rode in the Gold Cup. That's how I met him. But other than that, I don't really know the guy. But hearing him and listening to him speak and his attitude and everything about him, it's like, hey, here's another guy flying the flag.
Yes.
Gracefully.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So while I was doing the vet assistant and the Canadian Tire, there was a lady called Sue that used to work. She used to be assistant vet for Lear Guitard.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up moving from Lear and start working with John and Dan Colangelo as a vet assistant with them. So they used to do work for Reed Baker. And one day Sue saw me and she says to me, Leroy, you ever think about going back to be an assistant trainer? I says, right now, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. I'm good. She says, well, Mr. Rebecca needs an assistant trainer, and I think you're the right guy for the job. I said, Sue, right now, I'm good. But she saw me every day. The days that she did see me, she keep on ringing in my head. I says, so I went home and I spoke to my ex, about it. And she says, what's going to hurt? They wanted me to write a resume and give it to him. And she says to me, what would hurt if you do that? I said, I really don't want to do it no more. I'm pretty happy where I am right now. She says, just do it. So I did the resume and give it to him. And people who were asking me questions, like Sean himself, because Sean came in and said to me, hey, Reed been asking questions about you. And thanks to guys like Sean again.
Well, not that he was asking questions. Not he was asking questions because I was in the stable at the time. I had horses. I had 25 horses for him up at TNT.
Yes.
Right? So yes. I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I knew he didn't have an assistant.
Yes.
And I went to him and I said, you don't got to look no further than Leroy Trotman. Leroy Trotman. Once you interview him, that's it.
I've thanked you how many times already, but let me thank you again.
No,
you know what I mean?
I felt so. I told him that, and I don't think he spoke to anybody else after you.
And from what I know, there were 16 people that had applied for the job.
Wow.
16. I got to find out it was 16, and it was down to me and a guy. The last guy I think was Richard McHann or something like that. Works the gate here, right? Okay. I think it was down to me and him. You know what I mean? And I decided to go and get the interview with him and everything. And everything went well. And I decided, okay, I'm going to give this a shot again. And then when I did the back check of what he did the year before, because he had won the Sovereigns Award the year before. Yes. You know what I mean? He won the Oaks with the horse called Gold Stripe. And his stats were full.
Yes.
It was like going into there, like falling behind Jim Bannon and Roger Atfield. The same thing. I was falling behind. It was like, wow, here we go again. You know what I mean? So I decided to do the job, and I got the job with him. And he gave me the job, and then last thing I remember saying to him, you know, you won't be disappointed. You know, you won't be disappointed. You know, and talk to his wife and everything. And Derek, my first week with Reed Baker, there's two things I'm gonna mention here that with Reed Baker, and I mentioned in my article already, because he usually in Florida, and you have to go in with a string of horses here and do the job here. So I called him on the phone, and the first thing I asked him, Mr. Baker, what do you want me to do with these horses? And in terms of what, you know, your procedure, what you do, you know, because I want to follow his lead. I don't want to go in there bringing what I did at Steve Owens in his barn. I want to come into his barn and do what Reed Baker does. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things I learned in the game too. You know, a lot of guys would go into, well, we used to do it this way, we used to do it that way. Hey, no, I want to do it the way he does it. He hasn't been successful doing it his way for so long for me to come in and change it now. You know what I mean? So, but he turned and said to me on the phone, Leroy, I give you a job to do. If you don't know how to do it, let me find somebody else. I was like,
there you go.
Yes. You know what I mean? And I was always to tell the guys when I was working with Rebecca, with Steve Owens, and I told it to Annie Reed. I said, you know, the day I get nice horses in my hand, I'm gonna be dominant, because it takes good horses to make you, you know, to make you stand up. And I was like, wow, that put a big smile on my face. I'm gonna get to have all of these horses. I'm gonna get to follow this guy's lead and do what I have to do here. And about a week or 2 weeks after, there was an issue, and I called him up and I says, boss, I have a problem here. And he stopped me right just like that again. He says, Leroy, don't call me with problems. Call me with solutions.
Go.
Wow. I said, man, this guy is this what? I just won the lottery. I just won the lottery, Derek. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. Those two things that guy said to me. If you don't know how to do your job, let me find somebody else. Don't call me with problems, call me with solutions. Okay.
And that felt really good. You know, you get that weight of responsibility on you. You can shoulder it. You can say, look, you know what? I'm allowed just to be myself and do what I want to do, you know, and that feels good, doesn't it?
Oh man, Derek, you don't know. Coming from the little place I came from, but I had kind of preparation for being having a lead already when I got the opportunity to be a head lad at Ward's place, then to Steve, you know what I mean, and then with the vet assistant. So I had some maturity to me to take me to that next level. So the preparation of getting there was, you know, was my peak and was doing this, and it took a lot of weight off my shoulder knowing that. And again, it takes leadership to carry things, the tasks like these along too. You know what I mean? And I'm a guy that I love sports. Sports is something that I strive on. And watching movies based on true stories on sports, like, you know, remember the Titans, Glory Road, you know, the Martians, those movies, I love those movies. If you sit down and watch those movies, especially Glory Road, there's a part in Glory Road, not Glory Road, Coach Carter, sorry. There's a part in Coach Carter where there's a kid on his team that he's keep asking, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You should pull up that movie, and when the kid says what he's afraid of, that's the part of the movie that struck me and said, wow. And the way he said it, you know what I mean? So leadership, I carry leadership a long way with me in my life every day. Leadership, set example. So when he say those things to me, I went in there with a different thought the next day. I started driving through that East Gate every day, going to that barn, thinking that I'm the best thing at this racetrack. For me, not for nobody else. I'm no better than nobody else at the racetrack, but for me. You know what I mean?
That's good to hear. I think that words like that you can share amongst even your peers and let them know that too, right?
Yeah. It wasn't that I wasn't better than this body than on that body shot. I was better. I'm the best. What I'm going to do here now from today on, I'm going to be the best at it. There ain't nobody on this racetrack are going to be better than me. You know what I mean?
I can tell you this now, right? For myself, watching your growth and everything, because you've taken a different path than I thought you would have. Because I always expected you to go to the next level and training.
Yes.
Oh,
a lot of people.
But the reason why, because they're not most of the times, most of the guys like who go through a big stable go
Yes.
on, you know what I
Yes.
mean, to train and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like myself, I was always, you know, me always had small horse and I had no big owners. I thought I saw you as
Yeah.
somebody who was in the right direction
Yeah.
Don't
to
answer that yet, Leroy. Don't answer that yet because I want to add to what Sean is saying.
Okay.
If Sean, go ahead.
yeah. So I saw you like that, but you you've tricked a lot of us because now you've gone now when you were an agent with top writers, it's just as good. You know what I mean? Or even better. You
Well,
don't have that stress of God
So,
paying
so
workers and that
here's
kind of
my
stuff.
addition to what Sean is saying to you.
okay.
So, Sean is saying he always thought that you would move on to the next
Train.
level, which be a trainer,
Train.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And
The
the
trainer,
first time I
of
saw
course.
you, me and my buddy, we would come over to the track every now and then. We would always see you and Reed inside the ring,
Yeah.
and always obviously you guys always look sharp.
Yeah.
Reed in his suits. It's a little bit dated, but still
Yeah.
look sharp.
Yeah.
And
Still look
you
sharp.
had your suits, and
Yeah.
you always look good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And my buddy would be like, he's gonna be
A
we
lot of a
grooming
lot
him.
of
He
a
gonna be a
lot
next trainer.
a lot of people
We
said
grooming
it.
him.
A lot of
And
people. A lot of
so
people.
yeah, so to add to what Sean's saying, like it's a little bit surprising that you jumped to straight to agent.
No, but
But
especially when Ricky was assistant to Mark Cassie, and then Ricky went on
yes.
his own with
Yeah.
Yes,
some big
yes,
fights and that kind
exactly.
of stuff.
Yes.
You know what
Yes.
I
I
mean?
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was I always expected Leroy be the next one of us, you know,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
islands to get because who
Well,
was in
the
the playoff with
opportunity.
him and go on, you know?
The
Because there's guys like
opportunities
myself
were.
and Desmond and them, you know, we never had no big clients or nothing like that. We
So
always go,
why
I
didn't
go.
you?
They
But
all a lot of the opportunities were there, but
mm,
I should say again, I'm just going to go all the way back to almost where I started reading my Bible.
mm,
And for some reason, Derek, God has put me in horse racing, but He's put me in the path that I've taken is Him that carried me that path.
mm,
Because why say that? Because I never went to the racetrack and asked anybody for work.
mm,
I've never went and begged nobody for work. I've never begged Steve Owens to work for him,
mm.
right? I've never begged the vets to work for them. I never begged them to work for them. They all of them approach me,
Yeah,
right? Reed Baker never asked Reed Baker to work for him.
yeah.
Patrick Husbands, I never begged Patrick to work for him. All of them approached me. I never begged Savashi to work for him. All of them approached me. So, when I saw that first path walk and going and everything where he put me in a different place, and the way it happened though, the way it happened was unbelievable. It's like that driving down to the track one day and Steve was just out of why don't you go for your assistant trainer's license? Sue saw me on the road and says, Reed Baker needs an assistant trainer. Why, you know what I mean? I think you should, all those things. And I had the opportunity. Robert Landry had approached me to be the trainer for the farm. He approached me for that. You know what I mean? And it goes back for the respect that I have always take with me for people, and then with Reed. I went to Reed and then asked Reed about, what do you think? And people might say, what Reed said, you don't do it because you're doing a hell of a job for him. He don't want you to leave. I didn't take it that way. You know what I mean? I took it as a guy who was opening my eyes to things the right way. And his answer to me was, Leroy, you don't need to be up at a farm. You need to be in the public's eye.
No, that's big.
And down here is the public's eye. And those words, he was right about what he's saying. So that's why I say when people can say, you know what, Reed didn't want you to go because it wasn't that. That's why I don't take things from people, and listen to people. If we're gonna have a conversation, I'm the type of guy if I'm gonna have a conversation with you, Sean, and you have a conversation with me and you speak 10 words, out of those 10 words, I'm only gonna take the positiveness out of the 10 words. I've only told them it's positive, I'm gonna take the 2 and leave the 8 behind.
I love that.
I'm gonna leave the 8 behind. I don't carry negativeness with me. I walk positive. And that's
I
my
love that.
mentality. So I'm keeping my head up. As low as I might fall, and like I thought it says, when life hits, losers say why me? Winners say try me. You understand? So that's why you gotta always be positive about everything that you do and every path that you take. Because there's gonna be a negative and there's gonna be a positive. But which one you want to take with you? You're gonna walk with a negative and a positive together, because there's weight pulling you down and there's something pushing you up. Which you want? You want to continue pushing up or you want to get pulled down? And I ain't getting pulled down. I'm going forward. So you know what I mean? So when Rebecca says to me, you know what, come to me with problems, with solutions, not problems. And if you can't do my job, let me find somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta take those words to heart.
You have to, because I'm a guy that come from a little place, not much education, 15 years old with being out of school. I don't have that, you know what I mean, to say, okay, I can do this, I can do that. All I knew about is picking stalls, rubbing horses, and stuff like that. But I learn as I go on, because I want to be a sponge in this game with the opportunities as big as wood buying is. How much can you not want to be successful? So
Is it normal, Sean? Is it normal, Leroy? Is it, or is it rare that so many people can approach you about these positions and opportunities, or is it out
Listen,
there that
listen. This is
Joe
that
Blow
happens.
gets approached all the
It
time?
happens in North America when you're good at what you do. People watch and see. Listen, Leroy, when Leroy walk into the track with a string of Rebecca horses, okay, you just move out the way and let them go by, okay? It was that presence.
yeah, you have
You're
to have
walking
that
out there like if you
confidence,
own the whole road,
confidence,
you know?
confidence, confidence there,
Yeah.
confidence. And what made it even more better for me too, and I remember my very first horse that I ran for Reed while he was in Florida. I remember that horse working one morning, and he worked a little really fast, but I loved the way how he did it. And I called Reed and I said, man, this horse just worked good. He said, well, where he's going to be running, he won't be beaten. And when he told me where he's going to be running, I was like, what? And he told me the horse was going to be running for 10,000. But the way this horse just worked, he worked better than a $10,000 horse,
Yes.
you know. And I remember Makalani was the stable rider at that time,
He used to
you
write a
know.
lot for you guys.
Yes, yeah, he was there before, Reed. He did a lot, and Reed did a lot for him. Both of them worked really
Yes.
good together as a team. You know what I mean? All of what other people might say about him and stuff like that. But let's not even go there. You know what I mean? But what
I
I'm
don't know
saying,
what they said. Maybe you can share it.
well, no, I mean, people used to say that he ride the horses, this way and that way, and everybody would come on in. And I kind of got a little bit into it too. And then I got to say, you know what? I'm a leader. Why am I getting myself involved in doing something like this and acting like
Perfect,
that?
man.
Leaders don't do things like that. You know what I mean? Pull down the guy that is trying to, and he had his issues and stuff like that. And with a guy that have stuff like that, you don't step on him. You try and pick him up, not push him down. You know what I mean? And all these things I try to learn in life as I go on. You know what I mean? When you're gonna kick a guy down when he's down already, and how many people do it?
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's not my style, and I don't want to be like that. So I want to have all the right factors to my life going forward if I'm going to be successful. You know what I mean? Clean up, start crossing your T's and dotting your I's and erasing all the stupidity and stuff like that over your life and get going forward, because you've made a name for yourself. If you want to continue making that name for yourself, then correct all the stupid things that you think that might be stupid.
Yes.
You know?
I have to agree with you. And there's something that Sean always say, maybe on the show, and he always say like guys always want to be like the big jock in Barbados, and he says like there's plenty of opportunities out there if you may grow too big to be a jock, and stuff like that. So there's plenty of opportunities. So I mean, like what Sean is doing, I really like it because it's like words of encouragement, and also like to actually help these younger guys to
Youngsters, you
see
know
a
what I mean?
future within the industry that they love, and they don't have to stop at because they 135 pounds now. They could still go on and do something.
Yeah, and that's like when me and Sean spoke, because the very first show I had sit down and watching, and after watching show, I picked up my phone and called Sean right away. Right away, it was like, wow, wow. And then Sean told me, the road that he's trying to go and what he's trying to do and stuff like that. And I said, listen, Sean, if I could be of any help, please, I'm in. I'm in, and hoping that you touch somebody, because what Sean is trying to do, he's trying to pave a way, hoping that somebody, if there's 10 guys, get somebody out of that 10 guy, how many of them you can get as possible, to say, hey, listen, this guy's trying to do something for us. Let me just give him my ears and take his attention, get his attention to see what he can do for me, or and take somebody else with him. And one can start, the other can follow. Once you get one and they'll be successful doing what you're doing, so hey, he done it, I can do it. Next guy says the same thing, and the train reaction, and it goes from there. You know
I
what I
want
mean?
to ask you about attitude for the industry, for the sport, winning, like winning versus durability. What is the best route you would advise, like say young jockeys or young people in the business? Is it winning right now or durability? Just stay in the saddle and just driving it out, stay healthy, stay strong. What's the path?
Well, it's just like I think in any sport, practice, practice, practice. Because when you get on the court, you better be able to play.
Mm.
Practice, practice. When you get on the court, you gotta shine, especially in horse racing, especially in horse racing as a jock, and especially in North America, because once you start and you show your capabilities of stuff and show it early, and especially like a bug rider. I mean, let's go back to Mickey Walls.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
What?
And that is gonna make things so much easier for you going forward. And as long as you have somebody behind that give you the right structure and to improve on any, you know, faults that you have, and you want to listen and get better at it, there you go. You know what I mean? But you gotta be ready to go right away in this game. You gotta be
Listen,
ready
Wow.
to go
now that
right
we are
away.
onto this, how difficult is it to get some of our young apprentice jockeys at Woodbine riding now? 'Cause I seen some everybody is riding at Woodbine now. What do you got to do? Tell me.
Well, there's a lot of who you know,
Mhm.
and in everything you do, it's who you know, and the loopholes to get where you want to get in it. You know what I mean? Because getting it the normal way is a pain in the butt right now. You're
Okay.
talking about advertising, and then it takes up to 3 months, and there's no possibility that it's gonna you after you pay all your money that is you're gonna say good, you're good to go.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's ways and means of making the right phone calls to the right people, and the right avenues, I should say.
So do you have those strings to pull? Do you?
That's something we would talk of off here.
Sound like a musician.
No, but on this note, though, because we got some young guys down here. I noticed that Woodbine seems to be struggling right now with apprentice riders.
Struggling
And
is the word.
I,
Struggling is the word.
I watched what's going on still,
Yeah,
and
struggling is
I
the word.
noticed there's a struggle. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there is. There is.
And
You know.
we down here have abundance
Yeah.
of guys that could ride.
Well, we have Patrick, husband's nephew, that's here, and I
Yes,
mean, you sit down and watch him on the horse. All you see is Patrick.
yes.
You know what I mean? All you see is Patrick. I mean, just a matter of time you'll see him, and he's gonna be able to, hopefully, and I'm hoping that he picks off from where Patrick left off. Patrick
We
is on
got
his way
another one
out.
that was in out west, Bino, and he went down there and he did okay, but I thought that he should have done so much better. You know what I mean?
Better, yeah, yeah. But at the same time, he went on during the COVID time and all that too,
Yeah.
Sean. So you know what I mean. So the timing wasn't great for him at the same time.
But
You know what I
watching
mean?
them winning, I mean, he was winning races, switching sticks left, right down the
Yeah,
lane, and doing everything
yeah,
perfect. I mean, I just
yeah.
thought that people
And the
nothing to
horse
do with his
numbers,
talent. I just thought
yeah,
that they didn't
yeah.
use his talent wisely down there. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
But I mean, Woodman is where you want to showcase yourself too at the same time, right?
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
you don't see a lot of guys out there as apprentice being dominant and able to leave there and come over to Woodbine. A lot of them, you don't see a lot of them doing that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where Mickey was one of them that did, because he came from over there too, didn't
Yeah,
he?
but Todd Cable wasn't a bug rider, but I mean,
Yeah.
those guys came from out west, Stein and
Mhm.
McElhaney, and
Yeah.
those guys came.
And,
I remember, like Laurie Silver might be the first guy who really put Todd Cable on the map. You know what I mean? When in
yeah.
'89, you know.
Well, getting that break is always you always want to get that break, right? The break is very important. Getting the break. I mean, like the break that Patrick got coming here too, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
he was at 48 right in that 48.
yes,
You know what I mean? Emil was at 48 right in that
yes,
48, right?
yes.
You know what I mean? So
But you
Christopher,
have to go through that small track first to get to Woodbine,
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah. But
I
at the
think
same
when
time,
First,
you
you
when you
got
get
to
get
down
prove
there,
yourself.
yeah, but when you
I mean,
get
you
to
want,
Woodbine, you still need that break, right?
yeah, yeah.
You still need that break. You know what I
I
mean?
always say Woodbine is a 5-year program. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
don't walk into Woodbine thinking
No,
you can
no,
just,
no,
you know
no.
what I mean?
You
Each
don't.
year you will get better.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Nichols, Kevin,
Yeah,
he's going to get better and better.
yeah. And I
But
had
he
his
has
book too,
to.
right? I had
How did Kevin fire you, man? What was that?
well, he wanted to try something else. You know what I mean? There's no love lost between me and Kevin. Me and Kevin are
Uh-huh.
still great. Everything. He
Uh-huh.
just wanted to try
I'm glad
something.
to hear that.
Pardon?
I'm glad to hear that. You're
Well,
still
I
good.
didn't know that. So, I mean, the first time I saw the kid, well, I shouldn't say a kid, but I guess he might be a kid to me. But the
Mhm.
first time I see him riding, I was like, huh, interesting. The kid is riding pretty good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And he's a hardworking kid too. He
Yes,
worked his butt off in the morning.
yes.
He worked his butt off, and I give him a lot of credit to where he ended up. Now, I know I was part of it, but
Mhm.
I give that kid a lot of credit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He's humble. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You know, young and humble, but at the
Yes,
same time, you know what I mean? He had that little impatientness about him. He wanted to be successful. But
yes,
what really hurt Kevin is when he fell.
yes,
Mm.
yes.
He had that
That
fall.
always does, though. That always does.
Yeah, he had that fall, and then he had to take days along with it too. So
Yes.
that kind of kill his business a bit.
The
And
momentum. It killed the
yeah,
momentum.
yeah, you know what I mean. And he wanted to get right back in winning. So part of it, he wanted to make a change, and he wanted try something else, and he did it. And again, me and Kevin are still like this. There's no
Yes.
love lost between Kevin.
Yes.
I always tell Kevin anytime that he feels that I'm not doing the job that
Yes.
he's happy with,
Yes.
please come and let me know. And you want to make a change, don't hesitate, because I'm not here to stop some person from going forward in life.
Right.
You have decisions to make in order to carry your life where you want it. Please, you know what I mean. And I help him along with having some structure in his life, because his father, I knew Kevin's father because my mom
Yes.
used to buy bread from Kevin's grandfather
Yes.
growing up.
Yes.
So you know what I mean. And Kevin
Yes.
just live up to his father ended up buying sturgeons where I started.
Yes.
You know what I
And
mean?
Nichols
Correct.
Bakery, is
Yes,
that his
Yes.
family?
yes.
Yes.
You know what I mean. So
Correct.
I know Kevin, all of Kevin's family from his father's side. You know what I mean.
I think
So
Andy just died just recently
and he
too.
passed away too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. So and I wanted to play a part too in Kevin's life. To be what that father figure in his life. To anything that I see that he's doing and share it with him, and he always listened to me and stuff like that.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
Kevin is a winner, just like all of us want to be a winner, and that's
Yes.
what Kevin wanted to be doing. And he wanted to make a change, and there's no love lost between me and Kevin. No love lost at all.
Great to hear that, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So Leroy, how many guys are you allowed to have
You're allowed
to work with during the season?
two journeymen and one apprentice.
Also, it's a maximum of three
Three. Yeah,
jocks.
yeah, yeah.
But do you find jocks get jealous?
Well, saying that when Kevin was doing so good, I know people start saying, Leroy's going to get fired by Patrick. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And this is something I want to share about Patrick, that a lot of people always read Patrick the wrong way. Yeah, Patrick has his ways and things like that. But one thing I can tell about Patrick wants to see all those jocks do good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll just mention something that, a lot of people say. Patrick always say, you know what, Leroy, don't go hustling none of those guys' horses.
Mhm,
Don't hustle into those guys'
mhm,
horses.
mhm.
Those guys got to eat too. If you want
Yeah.
to hustle horses, hustle horses off the big riders that have three
Yeah.
and four that they can pick from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't hustle horses. If you hustle horses from those guys, me and you're gonna come wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was very straight about that. Don't
Yeah.
hustle horses with those guys' horses. You know what I mean? Those guys gotta eat. I remember
So
I had
in other words, then he didn't want you to tell your trainer that we can put Patrick up next time. He never
no,
want you to do that.
no. If they decide to make that decision,
They do it themselves.
they gotta make for themselves. But
Yeah.
not you gonna
Yeah.
say, I would do it if I had two horses for Kevin.
Yes.
And I can in order to keep that horse for Kevin, I say, hey, but I got Patrick too. I can't get Patrick right in that horse also in the race. And Kevin choose which one he wants.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That way. And I try to do the same vice versa.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
You try to do that. But
Yes.
Kevin Patrick, that's one thing about him. You know what I mean? Don't
That's
go.
interesting
Yeah.
Mhm.
because I always wonder like do you approach the horse owners or they
No.
approach you or you go do your work in the morning? How does that work?
You got to do your work in the morning. My homework starts here. Starts here on this computer. You got to try it because I have a program that I can go on, and my program, I can put in the trainer's name. It gives me all of his horses that he trained. I can put in the jock's name. It gives me all the horses he's ridden before. You know what I mean? You pull up a horse and you can see all the conditions and the stats and stuff. My program goes off of rag numbers and speed numbers. And the daily racing form goes off of buyers and stuff like that. Patrick like the buyers. I like the rags. You know what I mean? So the lower the rag number, the better the horse is supposed to be. When you look at a horse like Pink Lloyd, when you look at his rag numbers, he's running a 4, a 5, a 7. Those horses are outstanding horses. You know what I mean? Buyer numbers is 98, 100, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So your homework starts here. So if you don't do your homework here, make your notes and go into the track and do that. Don't go to the track blind. Go to the trainer and says, you got anything in here for me? Go to the trainer and says, look, you got so and so in here I just ran the other day. You know what I mean? I think my job will look good on this horse. And I never, one of the other things, I never go in another a trainer's barn and says, listen, my job would do a better job on that horse. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to knock the other job. Because you know what? I'm a jock's agent. I still respect that guy for the job he has to do. He has his family to feed. But my way of doing it, you know what I mean? I want to get my jock on that horse, but I don't use that terminology. And a lot of agents use that terminology. My jock would do a better job. And then the other thing they were going to say, but that jock rode that horse really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I try not to do things like that. You know,
Can jockeys do that job themselves?
Why?
Book horses.
Well, they if they see a horse run a bad race, they might see the owner, or maybe the trainer, or one of them might know an owner or something, and he might, you know, say to his agent, "Hey, go chase that horse with me," or he see the trainer and says, "Hey, you know, I would like a shot on that horse." You know, it's teamwork. You know what I mean? And that's another thing Patrick is very good at. Patrick is one of the guys, he did his homework. He watched replays over and over and over. And Patrick always said, if you watch a replay, you know, the horse that win the race, there might three other horses in the race that should have win the race. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about Patrick. And I always mention, like, in the horse racing game, I made it in my article, you know, somebody might say, he's a good jockey, he's a good groom, he's a good hot walker, he's a good trainer. I want that title. He's a good horseman. You know what I mean? Right. He's a good horseman. And that's Patrick for me. People call him a good jock all the time. I don't say Patrick is a good jock. You're a good horseman, because he see things that other guys don't see. And you might see Patrick get on a horse and win with it that was running bad all the time. And he sees something. And I don't want to mention those things to let out his little secrets and stuff like that, or what he sees. You know what I mean? And
if you do, some people will be very appreciative.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Patrick, when he was here last time, and you know me, I put him on some of my horses, you know, to get him, him ready for the season.
Yeah.
Patrick told me something. Tell me, Hall, this horse wants some ear muffs, man.
Yeah.
He said, "What happened? You getting old or something?" So, but he said, "You would have noticed." But the thing about it is that I don't get on horses anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I was getting that myself, most probably I would find out myself.
Yeah.
Patrick said, "Put some ear muffs on this horse, and you see." By the time I put the ear muffs on this horse is a horse that used to take like 10 minutes to get around the track.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was getting around like 2 or 3 minutes.
The noise, and
moving,
like
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those things that
mentioning that.
We got to gel this horse. This horse got. By the time I gel this horse, the horse just is different. So I mean, it's very important to have guys like Patrick husbands.
That's why I say it goes under the topic of good horseman.
Yeah.
You know, good horseman. Don't just, you know, you're a good trainer. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys I mentioned on my paper that I wrote down and talk about good train. A lot of these guys are good horsemen.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Carlos Grant is a guy that works his butt off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's in that barn most of the time by himself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Taking care of, you see him run horses and saddle them and all that stuff himself. I mean, that guy works his butt. Every time that guy wins a race, man, I says, thank you, amen. Yes. You know what I mean? I call him and congratulate him right away, because this guy works his butt off. You know what I mean? And you gotta appreciate the hard work this guy goes.
But I always said to Leroy, when a lot of these guys used to work really hard for other people.
Yes.
And I always said, for myself, I used to work hard for Lawrence Rivera, and I always said, when I get an opportunity to work myself, I can work really hard too.
Yeah.
Because if I used to do it for other people, why me?
Why not? You can't do it for yourself.
For yourself too.
You know what I mean?
Of course. And even now here in Barbados, I still, you know,
still
yes, I'm Barbados, but I still work hard.
But that's the passion, though. That's the passion.
Yeah.
You know, people used to say, man, you know, when I worked for Rebecca, I had a guy there that used to one of his owners, and he come back to the barn maybe 2:00 and stuff. Leroy, you're still here?
Yeah.
He says, man, I tell you something. You know, one of the things I love is when everybody's gone from the barn.
Yes.
Right? And I walk around that barn and look at those horses. And you learn so much, Derek, from those horses. They're talking to you. And you know, people don't realize how much they talk to you. They might be standing a certain way in the stall. They might be laying down a certain way. You know, you're looking their feet up and says, "Well, you didn't eat your food today. What's wrong with you?"
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I remember a little secret, a little thing. I had a horse that wasn't eating well, and we were giving him all kind of medication for eating and stuff like that. And a chiropractor, something, you know, Sean can
Yeah,
think
yeah,
because he does that lasering and stuff like that.
yeah,
And all it was his horse jaws were locked.
yeah.
You ever got
Oh.
you ever eaten and your jaws lock on you, Derek?
Yeah.
It hurts. And that guy, that chiropractor come in and did something to the horse on a ear, and the next morning the feet tub is clean.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? The little things. So
yeah.
staying at that barn for those hours, you learn so much, so much. So all that comes with your success come with all those doing all those things. Paying attention to detail.
It's
You know what
true.
I mean? Go able to when I walking over front side with this horse going over there, feeling like there's nobody can beat him because the way he's been training. I had a horse called Go Blue or Go Home, and he was the oldest horse in the barn. But for some reason, there were 45 horses in the barn, and watching that horse training going into his race, there was nobody in the barn training better than him.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Yes, when you go on paper and the horse that he was going to run against, he was beaten already. But the way he was going into that race, Sean, was like, I'm the man. I'm old, but I feel
I'm
damn good.
cool.
I'm old, you know what I mean? And so luckily that horse went over there and won the race, and it was a stake race at 250.
Mhm, mhm.
Do you
Wow.
get the same do you get the same kind of excitement as an agent like when you did when you as an assistant trainer? Is it the same feeling, same passion?
Well,
It's
of
it.
course, again, the passion for the game.
Yeah.
The passion for the game. There's no part of the game that I don't have passion for. There's no part of the game. Just, you know what I mean? Even when Patrick got hurt in 2019, right? I had Josie Carl text me the next day. Going back to said I went begging nobody for no work. Text me the next day. Listen, Patrick is hurt. What are you gonna do? I had Sheena Ryan and Patrick at the time, but Sheena Ryan couldn't support me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Feeding my family, paying my bills and stuff like that. So I had to say to Sheena, you know what? I gotta do this. With Josie's gonna be a paycheck coming. She
But
has these.
why is that? I don't understand that. You want to clear that up for me?
Well,
Clarify.
You got Patrick that's here, and you got
Mhm.
Sheena down here riding. How much horses is she riding?
Not much.
She's not riding very much horses. How many races is she riding? Not
Not
very
much.
much. And
Is
Very.
that
and
her
those,
choice, or is that just what?
well,
Like,
you
what's
know, everybody can't win all the races at Woodbine, Derek. You know, you look at the standings. There's 10 guys in the standings, and everybody wants to call for the first 5 guys first.
Yes.
Every owner and every trainer wants the first 5 guys first. A guy might have his go-to guy, but majority of the time, everybody wants the top 5 guys, and then look for the guys. Like that's how like Daisuke Fukumoto end up. You know, the COVID has helped a lot of those low riders because a lot of riders weren't able to come in. A lot of those guys couldn't ride all the horses, so a lot of those guys, you know, Daisuke Fukumoto got to win the Queen Split because of that, something like that. You know what I mean? And these guys did the same thing with a guy like Kevin. Kevin was working his butt off. He just come into Woodbine and being an exercise rider, and he just decided to take his book out. And it so happened that one of the best years that he had is during the COVID time. So that helped him to elevate, you know what, his capabilities of what kind of rider he is. So now people look at him, hey,
that's,
man,
that's
this guy
beautiful
was
because he even got a mount in the Queen Split.
in the Queen
Yeah.
Split.
Even
Well,
Jet Li got a mount too, right?
Yeah.
exactly. So you know what I mean. The opportunity, the timing, and everything could be very, you know, and this game could, you know, is very important. You know, and I can say the same thing for myself. You know what I mean? When Patrick came and asked me the first time to be his agent, I was working for Rebecca and I was doing damn good with Reed. And the guy has done so much for me. And I said, Patrick, the timing is not good for me right now. You know what I mean? My loyalty to this guy, I want to stick this out. Maybe down the road. And it so happened that Reed was starting to go out the game and things were starting to, you know, quiet down for many. And Patrick came back and said to me, Leroy, opportunity number 2. And I had my sit down with Reed. I went in Reed's office and I said to Reed, I have another opportunity that came my way, you know, and I explained myself to him. And Reed, without any hesitation, he says, don't walk away from this one.
That's
Grab
good
it
to
now.
hear.
Grab it now. And that's something like that guy has, again, I have guys like that again. Reed himself, I owe so much to guys like this. You know, my incident with my in the article I had with the Philly free lady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When that guy mentioned in the winner's circle, had not for my assistant trainer, this
Yeah.
horse would have been running for claiming tag.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So when you meet guys like that are ready and willing to open doors for you, how can you just walk away from them and not have a
Mhm.
sit down with them and discuss part of your life going forward?
Mm.
You know what I mean? These guys help build structure for you. And at the same time, with Reed, you guys were mentioning why I didn't become a trainer. One of the things that kind of hold me back from being a trainer, you have to be a business person to be a trainer. Just jump up and want to be a trainer. I want to be, you know what I mean, covered in every angle going forward. You can become a trainer, you can go and train racehorses, but you got to remember you got bills to pay, you got
Mhm.
staff to take care of, you got your taxes, all these things you got to do. And if you go there and spend your money the wrong way and your owner's not paying you, all these things, and Sean can vouch for what I'm saying.
Trouble.
You end up out of the game before you even get in it. As much as
Trouble,
you
man.
show, as much as you show that you are a good assistant trainer and you were able to do so much great things, you know what I mean? Then
That's interesting.
yeah, you have
That's
all those
interesting.
you have
It's
all those
true.
other things to worry about. You know what I mean? And if
Right.
you
No,
go,
so that being said, man, like you got so much knowledge on in this industry. There's a bunch of other guys very similar to you that have so much knowledge. I feel like if you guys can form something similar to like a union where you can kind of like teach and kind of propel and kind of direct and okay, this is what I'm getting at, right? So right now, you know, you're a young man, right,
yeah,
in this business,
yeah,
and there's a time gonna come when you probably gonna be, call like slowing down or whatever, right? Do
yes,
you want to bring in the next batch of people just
Of
to
course.
come through the industry and have this, the head on the shoulder and be able to perform and even perform better than you did and Sean did?
yeah.
Now, is that something that you guys can maybe perhaps put together, look at,
Well, doing this right now is part of that, Derek. This is
Mhm.
this is this is that road. This is that path leading to that, and hoping that when you guys continue doing the great job that you're doing with the show that you're having, and the more Hall of Famers you bring into the game, and people hear more, that
No pun intended, Hall of Famers, right?
Hall of Famers. I mean, hey,
Sean, Hall of Famers.
Hall of Famers. I mean, you got two Hall of Famers on the show so far, and there's more to come.
Yeah.
You
Mm.
know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I hope that's you guys' intention, and hearing from their point of view, and then to hear from my point of view, because not representing me alone. I'm representing the guys' names that I call the grooms that are still at Woodbine from Barbados that are still working hard. You know what I mean? Hoping that these guys just don't want to stay where they are. They want to elevate themselves to the next level. You know what I mean? And that's what
And
we're
I'm,
hoping.
you know what, no, because it has been proven that a lot of these guys have evolved. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to stay in what they are. Because a lot of these
No.
guys were
No.
grooms
No.
20 years ago. Now they're owners, along being trainers and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
We
And I
had
love that.
we
And
had
I want it to
last
keep
year.
that way.
Yeah, we had last year. I remember there was three guys that one calling in: Ricky Sterling, right?
Yes.
Jefferson Gill, and
Yes.
Jamal Watson. Those three
Yes.
guys came together and owned two horses. I
Yes.
mean, Patrick went on one of them, and Kevin went on one of them
Jamal.
too.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? And they have their little syndicate going. And from when I spoke to them last time, they have went and bought a couple more horses. So
Mhm.
it's happening, Derek. It's not that it's not happening. You guys are not behind the scenes of seeing it happen. But I'm here to say it's happening. And again, a lot of these other guys that are training, Carlos really trains, for his wife's family and stuff like that.
Yes.
Ted Hola has a couple horses for other people. I like to
Yes.
see a lot of these guys get them more public. But again, you want just not to go public. You want to have people behind you with some strength behind you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's okay to see you pick up a horse for a guy to train, and he wants a favor done.
Mhm.
If when you win, then you get this and that. These
Yes.
guys can't go forward with stuff like that.
No.
You
No.
know what I mean? They got bills to pay. They can't, what I mean? They have their family to feed, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So if they can own a little piece of them and stuff like that, if the guy's gonna come on the deal, he's got to give them at least 25% or 30% of that horse. So that
Correct.
when he does win, he can, you know what I
Get a
mean?
little piece.
Get
Yeah.
get a little piece, and not just a little piece. He's not being ripped off, and with
Yes.
his name on paper too. Don't just
Yeah.
put with a shake hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Make sure his name is on paper, so that
Yeah.
when shit hits the fan, hey, you know what I mean? So these are the things that we're talking about with our knowledge, and we're trying to spread this knowledge to the guy at the bottom, knowing that he has an opportunity to rise above. Don't think that, you know what, this person can own all the horses, this person can win all the races, that person can do this, that person can do that. You can do it too.
Of course.
You know what I mean? The effort and all the hard work, like Sean said, you know, I've been working so hard for this person and that person. You can do it too. I worked my butt off for Reed Baker, but I was rewarded
Of course.
for my hard work. I
And
was,
that's very important what you just
yeah,
said. You were
yeah,
rewarded.
I was rewarded. I won the assistant trainer 5 times, Derek. 3 consecutive years straight. I won it. You know what I mean? And again, it just didn't come because I was doing a great job. I earned my respect. I made sure I looked the part. I did all the things the right way. And when you get those things, that those rewards come your way, it only elevates you to get up the next morning. I can't wait till the next morning come to
You gotta
get to
keep
the
going.
track. You know what I mean? I'm eager and ready to go. You know what I mean? When is the next one? And if I didn't win a race for a week, you know what I mean? I took it upon my shoulder to look to see what am I doing wrong. You know what I mean? And Reed give me open doors for me. I remember we were winning. We had a barn of 45 horses and the caliber horses that we had, and we were only winning at 13%. And our ITM was only, I think, 20%. ITM means in the money, Derek. You know what I mean? And I'm a very I'm stats. Stats is my thing. I open a program. I look at the back of the program where all the stats are: the trainer stats, the jockey stats, the horse stats. And I said to Reed that morning, and I took my program and I highlighted those two things, the 30% and the 20%. And I said, Reed, you know, this is not good enough for us. This is not good enough. The kind of money our owners are spending and the kind of horses they're giving us, we got to be doing better than this. In order to maintain where we are, we got to do better than this. Let's find the solution. Again, goes back to the solution. What we're doing the next. And Reed was the kind of guy, if I say something to him like that, Reed won't answer me right away. He might come back a day or two because he thinks it over. And Reed come back and say, Leroy, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We can put all these 2-year-olds and separate, you know, put them together, put them in the gate, work them out of the gate, find where, you know, who's better than who, and make a change in certain things that we're doing. And he did it, and our percentage went back up. You know what I mean? So things like that. I'm not just an assistant trainer to make sure all the horses are good. I got to be able to see. I got to think like a businessman too, right? I got to remember that this guy is paying his bills. You know what I mean? He's got to make sure that everything is taken care of, all those things. And I had to make sure that, and I wanted to learn the business side. And that's one of the things I learned being around Reed, the business side of the game.
Well, I'll tell you what, like from watching and observing Reed Baker when he's in the ring, it always looked like he had something going on there, you know. You know, it always looked that way.
Well, they used to say that Reed used to like to go and scam owners from people. You know what I mean? But I mean,
that's a good businessman.
But that's a good businessman. He's got me taking care of the horse part of it. Keep the owners happy and try and bring more owners in. You know, Reed used to always say, never say no to a horse. A guy calls and wants to give your horse to train, never say no. You just never know where you're giving up.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So every good trainer wants a guy like that behind him that he can go and take care and keep his owners happy, because keeping your owners happy is very important. You know, it's like Roger Affley will say, you know, you got some owners want to run their horses where they don't belong, and some want to run them where they belong, and stuff like that. All of those, you got the things that these trainers do a lot, man. You know,
a lot behind the stuff, man.
You know what I mean? So you need that right person behind you. You know what I mean? And I took pride in doing that. You know, especially when a guy is giving you the opportunity. You know what I mean? And able to say to him, look, you know what, Reed, let's not run this horse here. He's better than that. And that same horse I'm talking about, Free Lady, the horse was working with horses in the morning, and the horses in the morning were beating her up every day, Sean. You know, she couldn't beat none of them. But after the 5/8 pole, she ended up pulling up at the 3/8 pole, and they're left behind. And those same horses that would been up on the morning couldn't even win for 12-5.
Wow.
And Reed said the owner bought her for 25 or something. We can run her where we want to. And she looked like her conformation was so ugly. She looked like somebody took her legs, her front legs, and threw them at her, and it just stuck on how they got on there. But she was doing something that I saw something in her that nobody else laughed at that. But the ability that I saw she with her was amazing for me. And I said to Reed, you know what? Please, boss, give me one shot with this horse, just one shot. I want to run maiden special weight. And Reed had a thing with Bannon that, he'll sit down with Bannon and do the handicapping and look at the race and stuff like that and figure, I mean, him and Reed had a great relationship. I love Mr. Bannon, very great man, great
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? Again, another guy that I learned so much from and how to have a good relationship with. You know what I mean? Can
Yeah.
call him at any time and ask him anything.
Yeah.
And Reed figure, you know what? We can't win this race. She's not good enough in here. You know what I mean? The horses she's been working with or not. I said, but actually, he was in his office the morning when he called me and told me he was going to scratch her.
Yeah.
And he had a couple guys in the office, and I actually went down on my knees like this, and I said, "Boss, please, I just need one shot, just one shot, please." And John O'Roder, and I say to John O, Reed never liked you to give instructions, and I agree with him. How can you give a good rider instructions?
Yes.
Especially a good rider. But what I like to do, I would give a guy a hint about a horse.
Yes.
And I said to John, John O, this filly, I love this filly.
And let people know you mean John O. Jones, right?
Yes, yeah, John O. Jones. I said, John O, she doesn't have no speed. She doesn't show no speed in the morning. But after the 5/8 pole, nobody beats her after the 5/8 pole in the morning. And John O says, okay. So we went out. And Patrick was riding the even money favorite in the race. Mm-hmm. And John O, they were going pretty slow. And John O made a run for it early. He got in gear and made a run for it. And Patrick came and caught him right on the box. And John O came back and said, Leroy, I know what you told me. I said, John O, no. There's no excuse I need. What you did, I'm extremely happy for.
Yes.
You did nothing wrong. You did everything right. You did what you thought was right, and I agree with what you did. You made a run from it. If you had win, we won't be making this having the discussion right now. We'll be celebrating. But I'm still celebrating for the fact that I love this girl. I saw something about her, and she just got beat.
Yeah, you just like a horse showing some life, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that, I learned from that, you know what? Wow. There's another little tick that I can put to myself, that having an eye for something, seeing something and paying attention to details and stuff like that. And that filly went on to win. Stuart Elliott came up for his Almina Gomez award, and his agent had spoke to Reed, and he got the right off that filly, and she won made a special way. And then she went on, and Reed wanted to give Jono back the ride on her, but Jono was riding a lot of horses for Roger at the time, and she was going in the second leg of the Triple Tierra. And Emma was riding some horses for us, and Emma got the call on her, and Emma won the Triple Tier at 250, and then she come back and win the last leg of the Triple Tier. So she won 2 legs of it at 250 each.
Wow.
So and again, the first leg when Reed went in the winner's circle and made his speech on when they interviewed him, and he mentioned that was like, wow. He just called my name in the winner's
that was a call in. That was like some lights went off, right?
Yeah, this guy just called my name in the winner's circle and give me credit for something that I did. I mean, how many guys are going to do that? You know what I mean? Some guys might say, if I say there's a trainer, an owner might say, what? Well, this guy is my trainer and he don't know what he's doing or something.
Yes.
But he didn't think that. He didn't hesitate to say, hey, you know what I mean? And how can you what you do the next day? I didn't want to sleep there. You know what I mean? It's like, how fast can I get back in the track the next morning? you know what I mean?
That's beautiful to hear, man.
Yeah,
that's really good to hear, because in team sports too, you got the guy at the top, and a lot of times the guys down in the bottom don't always get mentioned. Yeah. And just like the exercise riders in the mornings, I'm pretty sure they don't get no mention.
No, but some guys do. A lot of guys, when they do the interview, they will say thanks to my staff and thanks to that. And I appreciate those guys because they're giving the guys the recognition that they deserve. You know what I mean? That's why I had to mention all these trainers that I wrote down here to make sure that I didn't forget not one of them, to mention my boys, because those guys, they're flying this flag.
Yes.
I want to ask you something about that. How important is it to remember those guys that do all the dirty work in the morning, walk the horses, hot walkers? How important is it to remember those guys after you win a big race?
I tell you, for me now, especially as an agent, Derek, it means to me, they're even more important now. I mean, they're important already. I put them at another level being an agent in terms of, when I walk in that barn, you want to make those guys feel, hey,
appreciated.
Appreciated. You understand? It's just like when Patrick wins a stake. You know what I mean? When jocks win a stake, they give, you write a check for the exercise rider and you write a check for the groom. You know what I mean? And those guys might give the hot walker something. You know what I mean? And that makes those guys feel. And Patrick is one of the highest stake jocks at Woodbine. He makes sure, and a lot, again, this I want to put this out there so that people can hear these things about Patrick, because a lot of people again give Patrick a reputation that is not there. They read him the wrong way. They doesn't realize how big his heart is.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's so important for me to make sure I mention that about him.
Listen, Patrick feed people every Monday for the last about 20
20
years
years or more.
or more.
Yeah, yeah. And
Every Monday.
I
If
witnessed for
you,
myself him getting up at 4 o'clock and starting to cook.
yeah, I'm talking about some people who that might be the only meal they get for the week.
Yeah, you
They
know
can
what I
start
mean?
on Monday with Patrick husbands.
Yeah, so it's so important, Derek, that
So
these guys, I cannot not mention these guys. And a lot of these guys rub horses with me in Barbados. A
mhm.
lot of them, you know what I mean? Going in those stalls barefoot, having to put the bedding outside in the sun to dry, you know what I mean? To put it back in the stall in the afternoon. All the things these guys, we got on a truck, the back of a truck, and going to grass fields with a sickle. You know what a sickle is? And
Grass.
cut grass in the
Mhm.
hot,
Yep.
burning
Mhm.
sun. A lot of these guys did this with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't leave these guys out, because I
Mhm.
don't want to be just here to put in, because I'm exposed to more than some of these guys, and here on your show, I want to make sure that these guys know I ain't forgetting who they are, and that I'm still with them. As much as I might be an agent, assistant trainer, a vet assistant, I'm still down in the dirt with them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? This is very
That's
important.
beautiful to hear, man.
It's very
That's really
important.
beautiful to hear. I'm sure the guys out there who are watching and will watch later will appreciate that, because as much as only one person probably can get through that bottle cap at a time, right? Because
Yeah,
at the bottom is
yeah,
bigger and wider, but
yeah,
as you go up, it gets smaller, right? So
yeah, yeah,
that's good to hear.
yeah,
Very good to hear.
But
yeah.
what I want to hear from you now,
Yes.
what does the future leads for you? Are you looking for more any good writer now? What?
Well,
Any young
definitely.
upcoming writer? Tell
Definitely.
me.
Well, Patrick's nephew is one of mine, and is my next guy that I'm trying to, hoping that
Okay.
I have him out this year.
Okay.
You know what I
Great.
mean?
So is three of them, Patrick, his
It's two
nephew,
right now.
and
Two
some.
right now. He hasn't got his license nor nothing yet. Hasn't got his license yet.
So
But
you
I'm
are confirming that Patrick is coming back this year.
But he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He's hoping.
Smart guy though, very smart guy. I now see why you're the guy wearing the suit in this whole broadcast, eh? and the
I
and the
just
guy
wanna,
with the
I just wanna.
yeah.
He's hoping.
I'll tell you what. We talked about Patrick husbands earlier, and you say sometimes you get a negative or the wrong impression about Patrick husbands, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that love Patrick husband, man. And there's so many people who appreciate what he do, and all types of people. People that I don't even know that I didn't even know were into horse racing, and they tell me about Patrick husbands. And the one thing that I want to say is that when they find out I'm from Barbados, they always say, "Why is it that you Bajans love horse racing so much?"
When you look back at the days of the Garrison Savannah, though, you know what I mean? Just today, I was at the track talking to some guys, and we were mentioning being in the infield as a crowd, growing up as a little boy. That was one of the most exciting things, to go at the racetrack and be and running from pole to pole where the horses starting. You remember those days? The excitement you get, and you be able to sit in the paddock, what we call the paddock bend, and be able to
Yes.
stand right there and can reach out and touch the horses. And remember Ricky's dad, Godfrey Grip, used to always take his we would call it a danda at that time, right? The whip, and hit you with it and stuff like that. Or guys standing up on the rail. The danger things that you do in your mind. But it was excitement. You know what I mean? And the Garrison Savannah did that. You were here, you got some guys that went to their first Gold Cup, that never been to a Gold Cup from North America and been down there. The excitement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it bring to the game. You know what I mean? It was so, you cannot love it. And you got the real birds in the morning that coming up to the Gold Cup on this rails there when horses walked out to train. The arguments that you have for hours. Hey, Sean? You know what I mean? And then it carries into the next day, Sunday morning in the paddock. Guys sitting down in there just to come out to old talk.
And it's a lot of bragging, a lot of argument, a lot of
Yes.
grudges. Like
Yeah.
when Jim Bannon was on, he was saying the one thing about Barbados is that the everybody has a connection. So the trainers, the owners, the jockeys, they all got like a group of people, a community behind them.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it like the love when people support you.
Yeah.
Not only one or two people, a whole community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And especially if
yeah,
you
And he
got one
compared it to
horse.
like Italy, but not so much North America.
Yeah. Or you had horses like Coolbird and PU and Stanford Prince, you know what I mean, and Ibn Chai and when the Meter Hotchin and Breeders' Walk, all those kind of horses and the arguments, and you got the supporters of those particular horse or the supporters of Venice Richards or the supporter of Charlie Jones or C.A. Jones, those things, the excitement that it brought to the horse racing home. How could you not love it? You know what I mean? So it like I was just reading an article. It's so sad, man. David Seals was just mentioning that they can have night cricket and have all these crows at night cricket, but we can't have guys in the midfield in the center fields with horse racing right now.
Mhm. It's crazy.
Like it's crazy, right?
I know the bad thing about it.
Yeah,
Every race day, there's thousands of people out there by the CXC building.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, is it not better to have those people in the infield where they're
Infield.
not clustered together in that
Exactly.
small area?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's crazy.
yeah,
And you know what? All bothered too, because I've spoken to a few people in government with the racing academy that I was suggesting that should be done.
yeah.
But when you speak to these guys, they don't have a clue about horse racing. They think, from the impression I got, a lot of these guys think that it's just Sir Cole, Sir David,
Yeah,
and it's the rich old white man thing.
yeah, yeah,
But then you got to bring them to reality about what you call all those names you called it just now.
Yeah.
Their husbands and all
Yeah,
our top
yeah.
riders that 10 of them. We have about 10 jockeys who won championships in Canada.
yeah,
I mean, those are the real
yeah,
Very
people
important.
yeah. Very important. You know
that
what I mean?
sells
Yeah.
our history of
Yeah.
racing. What
And
what
Leroy
our history
Trotman.
has done. Because that's the
Leroy
result,
Trotman. Thank you, Derek.
you know?
So that's it. And I remember, first when in my days growing up in horse racing, those guys had their club and stuff, and they you guys used to use more to me. They used to use horse racing more as bring the family out on the weekend and
Yes.
stuff like that. It's more like a hobby. When you come to Canada now, it's a business.
Business,
It's a
yes.
business. I know a lot of guys now, a lot of black guys have got into the game more now than before, and now these guys are using that as a business now, trying to generate some income for their family and stuff like that. But
Yes.
growing up, there were you had Davy Seals and the Weeks and the Challengers and all those guys that we used to be able to come in and in their boxes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Using it as a hobby. And then when you come to Canada, it's a whole different ball game now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and you learn, the business part of it and understand more and more about the game and how more you can get out of it and how much you can, go forward in life with it.
Mhm.
I want to ask you about some of your work,
Yes.
because Patrick last year he won a big stakes. I think it was on the grass. I think it was a summer stakes. Was it summer stakes he won?
Yep.
Was it Josie Carroll horse?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the horse, but what was it? Anyway, I can't remember.
There was
But
a Lady War Machine.
I
No.
don't
The summer
remember. I don't.
summer stakes was Mark's horse. No.
But it was. I can't remember exactly which one. Maybe it was a Breeders' Stakes. I
The
can't
Breeders.
remember.
That was Barb Mitchell's horse. The Breeders. Yeah.
Right, that's
The
right.
Breeders. Yeah.
No, that horse was not the favorite.
No.
That horse was like almost 27-1 or something like that.
Yes.
Oh, no, I know Sean, in our very first episode, we had Rocco Bourne and his agent was on the show. And she was able to break down and to explain to a lot of viewers, especially people surrounding Sean, how this thing really works and who do a lot of dirty work in the morning. And that's people like yourself, people like Penny, those kind of guys. Now, how excited was it for you just to sit there knowing that you had such a good horse for Patrick, and then for that, for that opportunity when the race started, and knowing that he had a good horse, you had a good horse,
Yeah.
and
Well,
people didn't know.
the team effort of myself and Patrick, because After we ran the Queen's Plate, now you're looking. You have the next race. You have to look at is so that breeders race, right? What horses you have to breeders? Is your horse for the Queen's Plate coming back? You know what I mean? And then we got to find out that that horse wasn't coming back. So now you have to look for that next horse. And we had an opportunity, you know what I mean, to the horse that won the Queen's Plate. I know Emma Wilson had the opportunity to ride that horse first, but she was already she had won a couple races on a nice horse for Gail Cox. So her agent had, mentioned that horse to me, and I had mentioned it to Patrick. And Patrick says, "Listen, the guy that we're riding for, let's stick with him." You know what I mean? That horse didn't run the race that we expected him to run in the plate. So now we have to, Patrick says, "Leroy, who we have for the breeders?" I says, "I'm still looking." And he had mentioned the horse that win the plate. Well, go see if you can get him. I had already knew that Emma would get the first shot back at the horse because she had the first shot to ride him in the plate, but she couldn't ride him in the plate because she was committed to Gail's horse already. And then we knew Ortiz wasn't coming back because to get those guys to come back to run in one race like that is very hard. You know what I mean? But to come for the Queen's Plate is a big prestige race to his name, and that's what the thing. So Bard, looking around at you have the nominees comes out at least 2 weeks before for every stake race, right? But at the same time, you want to be able to do your homework and pull up all the 3-year-olds that you think could go to the breeders and that likes the surface, that likes the distance and everything. So when I look at them, I see Barb's horse there, and I said, okay, take that horse off. Still take off the horse for that win the plate and give the trainer a call and see if he will respond or not. You know what I mean? All that part of it. And then the other horses, you kind of ask questions along to see who they're riding on their horses and stuff like that. And then when you hear that, now you have to look for the only alternative. And happened to talk to Barb, and Barb said, "Leroy, look, because that horse had got claimed. She had run the horse for 25,
Yes.
and he had got claimed for 40. I mean,
Oh, it named
he
British
got claimed for
something,
20.
was
He
it?
got
British
claimed for 20.
royalty or something? British
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
She ran him for 25 because she said to me that the owner, they weren't winning any races, and the owner her decide, they're going to take a shot,
Yeah.
not knowing on behold that somebody's going to come and take this horse. And John Chalambas had ended up claiming him for 40. I mean, sorry, claiming him for the 25, but running back for the 40. And Barb saw the horse running back for 40, and Barb, I guess, made a phone call to the owner and says, "Listen, let's jump back on this and get this horse back." You know what I mean? The horse is bred to go the distance, and she always had in mind that that's the race that she really would like to see the horse in. That's what she said to me. So she called me and said, "Leroy, look, let Patrick come and work this horse for me. We don't have to make no commitment right now because I want to leave my doors open just in case something that looks better on paper comes up, and then I don't have to go and say to her, 'Listen, Barb, I can't ride your horse now. I have to ride this other horse.'" You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. You don't want to that hurts business. So I says to her, and when she gave me that option, it was like any agent's
Dream
to hear that. You know what I mean? So I said to Patrick, here's the opportunity. Here's the horse we can ride in the breeders. And I say his form doesn't look the greatest, but he's bred to go the distance, and he doesn't look bad when you look at it from the horses that are going in the race. You know what I mean? And the horse that win the plate, his rag numbers were the best. He just coming off. He's a true grass horse. He win in a graded race in the States on the grass. You know what I mean? And he come in and win the plate. But I mean, he wasn't the only horse in the plate. If you go back and watch the race, that should have win the race. There are other horses that should have win the race beside him. So he wasn't the best horse in the race. You know what I mean? He got the lucky draw. Unfortunately, David Moran, just got beat in the race, and his horse, looked really good doing it. And you know what I mean? So when I explained to Patrick, and Patrick says, "Okay," I says, "we don't have to make no commitment. Let's go work the horse. Tell me what you think, and we'll discuss with ourselves, and then we'll talk to Barb." Patrick went and worked the horse the morning, and he came back in, and I been around Patrick for so long. When I saw the look on his face, I says, I like the look he's giving me. And he said what he had to say to Barb. But then we sat down in the car and made our decision and make have a conversation between each other. And his words were, "They're gonna have a hard time beating me, Leroy. We got the right horse." And that's one of the things that, as Patrick, makes my job so much easier. When I go and pick a horse, he can come and say to me, "Leroy, we ain't going nowhere. we should find another horse. Or, hey, Leroy, we got the right one.
Mhm.
We'll have a hard time beating us. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, we when we ride in the Oaks, right in the Oaks when we ran a horse with Marty Drexler, and he called me. We come into the track in the morning, and he said, "Leroy, man, I was up, could not sleep." I said, "What's wrong now?" He says, "Man, I'm read that farm up, down, everywhere I can, and the only horse I see I gotta beat is Emma's horse, the one for John Martini." I says, "Okay," and he was so right. The horse ran second, but the horse ran a hell of a race, and it was a maiden going into the race.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it goes back to where we're talking about with Barb Mitchell. You know what I mean? He went into that race with confidence as high as the roof. So I was licking my chops there, hoping everything goes well because you need the trip, Sean, as your jockey would know,
Mhm.
right? Don't care how good your horse could be, you need the trip and everything
It's a
all
good
full
trip.
right. You know what I mean? And when a little cut in the going, you know what I mean? The horse handled everything well.
Mhm.
Wow.
And that was the results.
I'm always amazed at the kind of memory that you guys have. You know, you guys can remember these things like so vividly.
I,
You know,
Passion, love.
I give you one little joke about Patrick again. I think Carlos Grant. I remember we were just doing some rounds, doing a little PR work, and so happened that Carlos had some horses, and he had this guy lightweight working for him at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
That you know lightweight,
Yeah, no,
and
like,
we walked past the. He has a walking machine with horses on it, and we walked past the machine, and Patrick saw a horse on the walking machine. He said, "Leroy, man, that horse is a nice looking horse, man." I said, "Well, let's go over to the barn and ask the trainer who he is and see what can happen." So I walked over there. Carlos wasn't in the barn, and Lightweight was there. I said, "Lightweight, man, that's a nice looking horse, man. Patrick likes that horse. Where's Carlos?" He says he's out with some horses. I said, "Well, tell him I'm gonna come back and see him. Like we'd like to ride that horse," not knowing that the horse was a 2 year old, and Patrick didn't know either. So I talked with Patrick and I mean talked with Carlos, and Carlos said, "Okay, we're working him such and such a day. We're coming and working." Patrick worked the horse, and Patrick come back and said, "Leroy, man, that's a nice horse, man." I said, "Yeah, man, we gotta look for a 2 year race for him." Patrick said, "He's a what? He's a 2 year old? No, he ain't no 2 year old." I said, "Yes, he's a 2 year old." I says, "Okay." Well, Carlos found a race for him, and he was 19 to 1. Escamenz is the horse's name, and he win for fun. But
wow.
the eye that the guy has for that's why I said I
Yeah,
call him not a great jockey, he's a good
yeah,
horseman.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
beautiful,
understand?
right?
And those little things that you see and see the greatness of what the guy has and what he can do and what his capabilities are.
Mhm.
You know?
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's quite amazing.
Yeah.
I think that you guys have come such a long way. You know, it's good to see that you guys have this close knit bunch of guys that you can always rely on. You can talk to,
Yeah.
talk with,
Yeah.
and that's important. You know, especially
Very,
coming off the rock. You know what I mean?
yes.
This
Yes.
is really
Very,
important.
very, very important. Very I mean, we're not
Important.
representing ourselves alone, right? That to me,
No,
I'm not representing myself alone. I'm representing Barbados.
yes, it's
You know what I
true.
mean? And it's like when I work for Rebecca, people would say things and say like that, or you're the one who training the horses. Reed is not that. I said, no, 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 no. I representing that maple leaf, that blue and white maple leaf, Reed's barn. That
Yes,
sign that says Rebecca, that's who I work for.
yes,
That's who I think. It said, I don't want the fame. I'm here for the fortune, not the fame.
yes.
How much fun was it working with Reed though?
A lot, Derek. Winning races is fun, man. When you're winning races, it's fun. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. And working with quality horses and
Yeah.
have good people around you. Because to me, again, I had the best staff at Woodbine Racetrack. You know what I mean? I had guys that when I can walk by their barn and says everything okay in that stall, and the guy said yeah, or a guy can say, "Hey Leroy, come and look at something here with me,"
Mhm.
knowing that hey, when I come and that guy says something to me, something is up, something ain't right.
Yeah.
And I can see something, and I got a guy, and I want those guys to know I'm at the same level as them. There, I never tell them I only have the assistant trainer a license to my name, but I'm in the dirt with you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? This is our interest.
I want to ask you something that I asked these other guys when they came on the show, and that was if you were not in horse racing, what would you be doing?
Whew, man, that's a good question, man. That's a good question because I read sports was my only thing. I didn't really have the love for nothing else. Meanwhile, if it was, it would be farming. Farming. That's my answer to that. And that became my nickname back home to farmer. because I grew up my dad with pigs, stuff like that. So even when we end up having to go back home, I ended up back home for 21 months before I got to come back up, and I end up taking my father's land and working it and then be able to make some money from it.
Is your
So
father still around?
no, my both of my parents are gone. Both of my parents are gone. I'm the last of 5 kids. Yeah, both of my parents are gone. But farming would have been what I've been doing. Tilling the land. I love getting my hands dirty.
And I was
Hey,
trying
nothing
to
wrong
do
with
that
that.
when I came back to Barbados also, but these green monkeys,
I had the
they
same.
started eating more than me.
Yeah, I had the
But I
same.
was planting, and
Yeah,
my farming career just poof, it
yeah.
just
But living in the country, you learn so much and understand so much. So one thing where my farmer was, I had a gully close to it, so I cut all the gully back a bit, and I actually had my dog and a line that run the line. He ran up and down, and then
okay.
and my dad had pigs, so I used a lot of that pig manure to
Yes,
help. You know what I mean? Keep them away
yes.
too. So those little tricks that I learned from the older guys and stuff like that,
Yeah, I have
help
a
me.
gully at the end of the line here too, but I didn't have the dog.
Yeah,
I did all the the tricky trade with the manure stuff and
yeah,
the
yeah. And I
bags
mean,
and
they get a little bit, and you get, but I was getting majority.
man, they were getting all of mine, man.
I love it, man. I love it. Big
Yeah,
agent, big assistant trainer, and still love getting his hands dirty
still
and
getting my
still
hands
battling
dirty.
with these green monkeys.
Yeah, yeah. You can't. For me, I don't ever want to forget where I came from, Derek. I don't ever want to
I
forget where I
hear you,
came from.
brother.
You know what I mean?
I hear
I
you.
want to be able to, if I can help a guy at the bottom along the way, you know what I mean? Help him out in some sort of way. I want to be able to do it. I don't want to feel like, you know what I mean? Oh, I got here now. It's okay. Forget about the guy at the bottom. I don't want to be like that. I'm not going out like that. I want to be able to say, you know what? Somebody at see Leroy doing something and he's still doing this. I can do it too. You know what I mean? Especially knowing that where we came from and what the things that we've been through in that little garrisons, that 6 furlong track, we don't know, that little small place we call Barbados.
So I don't think
I still think the guards are very important because will play a very important role to future horsemen.
Yeah, we just
And
need that.
I agree with Jim Bannon what he said. When you come from that track to anywhere in the world,
Yes,
it
yes.
it ups
Yeah,
your
yeah,
game.
it elevates your
Yeah,
game. It elevates
you
your game,
know.
you know what I mean? I remember galloping horses on
And
the tar road with big trucks passing us.
yes,
You
yes,
know what I mean? I
yes.
mean, in the cart
You're
roads
right.
where a cow might come out of a cart road or something. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Galloping on
and
the.
I think that's the main thing too. We forget to talk about how you get to the garrison. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Your road to the garrison is through the roads of the Barbados and through cart roads. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Horses running off with you in the cart roads and stuff like
Listen,
that.
I remember one time we went to the beach, right?
Yeah,
We used to go down Shop Hill, not Shop Hill, Holders Hill.
hold this
And
hill.
right at the bottom there, we used to go across the road into the beach. We used to swim the horses around there.
Yeah,
When we got down there, the beach was rough. You know what I mean? So we took the horses back. We were riding bareback now.
yes, yes,
So as you know from down there, it's all uphill. You know what I mean? You trot all uphill, boom, boom. But
yeah.
somebody got a smart idea to say, well, let's go up Fort Lewis. To just,
Oh.
you know what I mean? Boy, bareback. When we put the horses into the cart road, all of them got very competitive.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, Roger Broom was there,
Yeah,
Ricky was there,
yeah,
Terry. I know Roger was there, Roger
yeah,
Broom, so he would
yeah,
know the
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
We ended up running through Fort Lewis plantation,
That's a
the yard, the
yard.
cave.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know how nobody didn't die, right? Because you're running off the car with that full pelt
Yes,
onto
yeah. The pavement.
asphalt, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, asphalt. Yeah, horse can slip and slide.
And everybody, you lost contact. Everybody was just trying to survive at that stage.
Yes,
Now, we don't know.
yes.
I don't know what happened to Ricky. I know what happened to none of the rest, but those are the things that
Yeah.
you survive that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
It
you
was
guys actually caused them to put a load of marl and bought loose in the cart roads and bought loose or something like that. Those guys from Med Roads, because you guys used to go up there and race a lot. Because those Med
it's
Roads horses
racing,
used to
eh?
come, these guys used to come down. I remember flagship and all those sorts. You guys used to come down. I mean, those guys used to come down to the track ready.
we used to breeze those horses on the cart road, but not that particular cart road I'm talking about.
Yes. Now I know where you're
To
talking
go
about,
through the
though.
yard and
I
then
know
down
them well.
another
I
cart
know
road that
down there
used to be
well.
uphill.
I know down there well. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, you know what I mean? All those things, that's what made us great horsemen. And we follow a lot of the English rules, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you had to be able to groom, ride, and everything your horse yourself. You know what I mean? You had a lot of guys that couldn't ride coming up here. Almost
No.
everybody
True.
can ride. Maybe a
Everybody
few
go
guys
right. Yeah.
that based themselves just at the track alone wasn't able to do it, but
Like,
majority
you
of the
know,
guys,
like for instance, a guy like Troutman, a
yes.
custom boy. When some boys, I remember Troutman used to get on some horses by me
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, just to, and people used to look at Troutman, you go right? You know what I mean?
Well, it's so funny you say that because I had a girl galloping for Reed, and I used to try to explain her what she's doing wrong in the morning out there all
Yes.
the time. And one morning she says to me in the shed, you know, you keep telling me do this and telling me do that. You never even ride a horse in your life, and you're telling me. I said, do me a favor, just get on off that horse. Just step off that horse. I said to that guy, leg me up. A guy says to me, leg you up. And I'm a Canadian guy. I said, yeah, leg me up. And I got up the shadow, put my foot in the seat, and got up the shadow, sitting down over the horse. And she's looking at me like, okay, you can ride. I says, well, I ain't going to tell you something that I can't do. You know what I mean? I'm trying to teach you something. And one thing back home, you know, you had to learn to keep your hands down. If you didn't have your hands down,
Yes.
you know what I mean? We always learn to do that, you know, and that's the thing. And talking about riding bareback, I got a news patch. Your husband's an example. He win 2 races at Woodbine with his bareback, with his foot coming up the steels. He got.
I actually saw that.
Yeah,
on TV. I saw that.
Yeah. And how many guys
mentioned that?
Yeah, and how many guys their foot come out the steels and they're pulling up?
I remember Patrick husbands as a youngster. Okay, he was no more than 8 years old.
Oh my God!
All right. Remember his dad used to have the horse that used to pull the cart. I think it was Dividend or one of those.
Dividend, Dividend, turkey in it with that horse or something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like the first horse going out. It was still dark, so I'm walking out on the track on the thing, but I'm hearing horse hooves coming towards me. You know what I mean? Like this horse is flying.
Yes.
Okay. But it's too dark to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see this little boy on this horse bareback. And he's doing it so, riding it.
That's
and
Patrick.
Like a bicycle. He came from all the he just put him through the and went it through the CXC building there.
Yes.
Flying.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Yes.
8 years old.
Yeah. We used to run Patrick out of the paddock in the morning to go to school because he didn't, you know, horse race. He was eat, drink, and sleep horse racing. You know what I mean?
There and then I said to myself, if this guy doing be good, I ain't know him tomorrow. You know what I mean? He's gonna be the best that he has. But at that time Simon was coming out. You know what I mean? Turkey was right, but Simon was the now coming out and that kind of stuff. And we thought big things of him also. But I said he can be better than all of them put together.
Yeah.
Including father. You know what I mean? He can make up for everything.
Yeah.
Has him
Man. We got so
Leroy.
much. Yes, sir.
So again, I think you didn't finish what you were saying, but who are your jocks for this season?
My jocks for this season is Savashi, and you're so smart a journalist that you're throwing that question back at me because you want me to say something about Patrick.
No, I know there's a potential that Patrick. I know that decision haven't been made yet. I mean, like who else?
Saheen Savashi right now, and hoping that everything get finalized with his name is Micah Husbands. Micah Joshua Husbands. Remember that name.
Okay.
It's very important that you remember that name. Very, very important to remember that name.
I will. Is he an apprentice or is he a...
Yes, he will be. He will be. He's galloping right now. He works for Kevin Attard. He's galloped a lot of horses with Kevin. He actually got I can't remember the filly's name that he galloped her that win the Oaks. The filly that win the Oaks. Yeah, he gallops that filly. He gallops some nice horses by Kevin.
So he's already at Woodbine and he's already
he's galloping a lot of horses there. He works for Kevin right now, you know what I mean, and he wants to spread his wings, but till things get finalized, then you spread your wings.
Somebody says money for is that Micah?
19. Micah.
I think we might have Micah on the line. He's not on the line, but watching, he says that money for roll. That's the name.
Money for roll. That's it. Money for roll. Thanks, Micah.
So big up Micah.
Yeah,
You see?
yeah. You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad to
So
see these youngsters are still watching us, man.
yeah, yeah. No, this kid, this there's a lot of potential with this kid. So again,
Yeah,
I mean, when I say make sure you put this name, mark this kid name down, big and bold somewhere in your office, and don't forget it.
I will, man. I
Don't
won't.
forget it.
I will.
And
I'll have it right
I'm
there.
saying that proudly.
Yeah.
great.
You know what I mean?
Good to hear.
Hardworking kid with some ambition. We just gotta make sure we lead him in the right direction. And don't
Of
let him
course.
fall off the other way.
And
Well,
staying sound and staying healthy is important
Yes,
too.
yes, yes.
Especially now, and especially in these times.
And one of the things I preached to him a lot about, because his mother was a single mom, all right? His mom is a single mom, sorry, for him. He's the only kid she has, and she's bent over backwards to make sure that she provide him with whatever he needed, you know what I mean? And thanks to Patrick is who brought him up here, you know what I mean, to open the door for him up here. But I always preach to him, you gotta stay focused, stay humble, and let's be successful, because I want to see you bring your mother here with you and take care of your mother, because she's done so much for you. You know what I mean? She has, and I mean, get home, she makes curtains and stuff like that, and anything he wanted. If she didn't had it, she made sure she was able to provide it for him and got it to him. Although she's in Barbados, things a little tough, and got it here for her. You know what I
Man,
mean?
I always remember the name Micah, but I want people to remember that Patrick Husbands and the name Husbands alone, it's
Yes,
pretty
yes.
big boots
To
to
fill,
fill.
to fill, it's
So,
fill.
just be mindful of those things.
Yeah.
but
Is
it's a
is
talented family, though. It's a
The
talented
family,
family,
it
man.
runs through the family. It
Yeah,
runs through the
man.
family. It runs through the family. You know what I mean? Because we had Neil husbands, we had Terry husbands. You
Yeah,
know what I
Terry won
mean?
a championship at Fort
And
Erie. Don't
Children
forget
ran at
that.
Fort Erie. And
Yeah,
mentioning his name too, he had owned a little horse for himself last year.
that's
Tony
right.
went two nice races
He
with it
won
too,
some
right?
nice races
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Taking care of his family. So you know what
yeah,
I mean? It's very important to these things. You know what I mean? So Micah has some weight on his shoulders to carry, and I think he'll
yeah.
be successful
Listen,
doing it.
we must give some credit to Anthony
Well,
husbands.
I do. When I
Because
mentioned his
Anthony
name with you,
husbands,
and you,
he brought all
he
these
said it
guys to the
earlier.
track,
yeah,
man.
I mentioned his name earlier. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
I
mean.
know.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
give him more props.
More props, yeah,
More
definitely.
props.
And he's still working very hard too.
Still
You know what I mean?
working.
He's still working very hard, very very hard. You know
We
what I
have
mean?
discussions weekly. Okay,
Wow. Yeah,
so I'm always informed with you guys up there
yeah,
because when we
yeah.
when we speak for hours.
Yes, yes, and it's so sad, Ricky, as the guy that paved the way for us, that what he's going through right now and stuff like that,
Yes,
you wish that that things can get better, but unfortunately, we all
but
can't
I tell you
be.
what though, Griff has been doing good recently, man.
Well, that's good. That's
He's been
good.
doing great.
That's good.
You know,
That's good.
every
Fingers
time we
crossed.
call him now,
Yes, that's good.
he's calling me blues. The blues, it's
Yeah,
been like another good day. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Because the last
So
person I spoke to him with was Turkey, because Turkey told me he had
yes,
went to his house and looked for him and
yes,
stuff like that too, which
yes. But
is good.
we keep it. You know, I
Very
always
good.
I
Well,
send him.
you guys were like brothers, not just.
We are brothers. It's not like
You know what I mean? You guys, like you and your sister and his sisters always used to be together. You know what I
brothers,
mean? You
sisters,
guys,
everything,
You
man.
know, if Ricky's watching the show right now, I just want to say, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I pray for
yeah,
him.
yeah,
And the first time I met him, we talked like if I knew him forever,
yeah,
and that's a sign of somebody who's confident and somebody who's a people's person. So,
yeah,
um, always good conversation with him when
Yeah,
I
man.
saw him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Griff is the
There's
man.
so many guys, man. It's unbelievable. Like the guys, and even on my paper, Ronald Burt, that he's an agent up here now
Yes,
too, right?
yes,
You know what I mean? They treat Barbadian agents here.
Mm.
Myself, Ronald Burke, and Peter Gaskin,
to the
which is Tyler
gasket.
Gaskin's dad,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You know what I mean?
correct.
So you there's we try to go every avenue that we can and be successful doing it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Ronald also have Jet Li's is Jet Li's agent,
Okay,
which is
great.
Jason Hoyt, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So and there's a guy that you have to give a lot of credit to, because Jason and Kevin are like brothers. And
Yes.
when Kevin decided to take up his boots and start back riding again, Jason kind of pull along with him, and he was
Yes.
kind of was there for Jason and help him out, and do things. And those guys are very knit and close together. So it's something
Yes.
that what I mean, so happy to see.
But
And this,
I have a lot for Jason because he's my granddaughter. So So
Oh
I
yes,
have,
yes, yes,
you know what I mean? I
yes,
have a lot of
yes,
respect
yes.
for that kid,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
wish him well.
yeah,
Wish him
and when he
well.
first came to Canada, I'm the one that helped him up when he was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, so well knitted
we
Yes.
go
industry.
way back, man. I tell you, all those guys, you know what I mean? Oh, I love all those guys, man. We might
Yes.
have our little, thing here and there, but when it comes to, being
We're
there for
one.
these,
We're one.
we're
We're
one.
one.
And we all want to see each other be successful. You know
Well,
what I
I
Not
mean?
only
want to
that,
wish
we
you
want more to come. You know what I mean?
More.
That's why
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I'm down here for a reason to try
Yeah.
to
It
work
I
that
wish
out.
I wish that the HPPF, Sean, I know the
Mhm.
rules that they have to advertise this job for a month and
Yes.
then you got to go through all these procedures. I wish that somebody at HPPF office would go to the government and say, listen, man, our industry is lacking help so
Yes.
bad.
Yes.
Because I mean, there's trainers there last year, I mean, we're
Yes.
suffering with for
Yes.
help. You know what I mean? Guys got to rub 6 horses, and you should be rubbing 6 horses because you
Yes.
can't do a decent job. You're getting a paycheck, but you can't do the job that is required to do to take care of these animals. You know what I mean? And I wish that somebody in HPP office would go to the government and have a sit down and say, listen, we got to change some of these rules. There's nobody here really wants to come out and do the job that we do. It
Right. Of
takes it
course.
takes the passion to do our
But,
job.
but you know what, though? Not crossing you. Why are they still beating that old horse of trying to bring people from off the streets to do this job? It's been
Because
proven that it
because
doesn't work.
because of the rules and regulations in the country, Sean. That's the reason why. And that's why I said somebody need to go to a politician and say, listen, man, I know that we have to honor these rules and these regulations and stuff that the government is putting out here for us. But we can't get these people. If you guys go look back and see the record, how many people that we have advertised for and how many people that we were able to employ and how many people come in and tried it and left within a day or two, and we
They
can't
don't
get
like
in,
it.
and our industry is just falling because we don't have the help.
Yes.
Trainers can't afford to maintain the level and standard that they want for their owners
Yes.
because we don't have the help. You know what I mean? So
And
somebody
there's so much young guys down here just
that's what I'm
you
saying.
get to bottleneck. You know what I mean? All they learn to
Yeah,
ride, and
yeah.
then
We have a
only
lot of Jamaican guys up here, a lot of Trinidadian guys, a lot of guys from Barbados, and that's one of the three main West Indian countries we got a lot of horsemen from.
yes.
I mean, they got one or two Guyanese guys or Vinci guys or stuff like that, but the majority of them come from those three
Right.
islands. You know what I mean? And if we can get 100 guys from each one of those places, it's
It'd be perfect. It'd be
yeah, you know
perfect.
what I mean. And that's the problem. But we need somebody here in the authority, like even the CEO of Woodbine, to say, you know what, yeah, I'm taking care of this, I'm taking care of that, but we need help.
Mhm.
And the fact that the help that we need is people doing the groundwork to be able to keep our industry at the standard that we're trying to put it. The purse monies are good, we giving you this and we giving you that, but the help is not there.
Because I was pushing for a racing academy here,
Yeah,
and what I would love to see Canadians coming here and learning to ride.
yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Because we have done so well on the western side of all over Canada. I'm
yeah,
sure a lot of our guys are heroes to many hundred Canadian kids. And Canadians will have the money to afford to come to our academy.
yeah.
And you know what I mean? They want to learn like Patrick husbands with Barbados
Exactly.
years to come, man.
Because
That's
those
going to be
guys,
a good argument
yeah,
because there's
Yeah,
so many writers all over. That's going to be a good argument,
yeah.
of
but
course.
it's worth the shot.
Yeah, but the guys down there are hungry. There's no hunger up here for the
Yes,
Canadian kids up here. There's no hunger
yes.
for them. You know what I mean? They want to like we say, stay home and play a video game or
Play
have something
hockey.
better. Play hockey and stuff like that. But for horse racing, they don't you don't have it, right? And we
Yeah.
need that. And like I said, with more and more guys are getting into owning a piece of horse or owning some horses for themselves, and more guys are getting into training and taking out their license and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
You see,
with
the beauty about Canada's an avenue for people to evolve. Barbados is not that way. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
it's good. It's a good starter,
yeah,
but you got to
but
get over there
yeah, you
early.
have to,
You know
and I
what I'm
mean, and we that here, we got lucky to get out at the time that we got on, and the ones that end up having to go back home, unfortunately, you know what I mean?
Yes,
They end up back home, and it's too bad that those guys didn't get to come back up the road, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And the mistakes that they made causing themselves to end up down there too, not going and doing go through the right channels and getting their
Yes.
paperwork done and start worrying about a work permit all the
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? And
I've always heard about that, and especially back in the early '90s,
yes,
there was a lot of confusion,
yeah,
stuff like that with work permits and
yeah.
guys being promised of something that wasn't fulfilled and all types of stuff like that.
But
When
there, at the same time, I don't want to say the promises that were fulfilled. Those, I put a lot of blame on some of those guys there, Sam, and I want to be very straight about it, because they had the opportunity. When you're in Canada, you spend 3 years in Canada after on a work permit, you're allowed to go and apply for your
yes.
PR card and stuff like that. Guys didn't jump on that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So don't make it feel as though people promised these guys something and didn't do it. They were able to go. They were allowed to go and do that on their own. They didn't have to wait for nobody to do it.
I remember. I remember when Troutman, I was doing his paperwork and stuff, and they give him a work permit for 3 years,
Yes,
right?
yes,
I said, Troutman, they're telling you it's time for you to get.
yeah,
No, you got to be a landed citizen. No,
yes, yes.
they know you're thing no more. This is
No,
3 years.
yes, because
You know
they
what I mean?
brought up that new rule with call it a 4x4.
Yeah.
If you're in the country for 4 years and you don't have some sort of Canadian citizenship or a PR card or something,
Yes.
you're out.
Yes.
You all got to go home, and that's what happened to a lot of those guys.
Yes.
And you had
And
to
you're
stay
right.
for 4 years, and they call it a 4x4. So you know me, a lot of blame has to take those guys to take a lot of responsibility for causing that on their self. And
Mhm.
and again, one of the things I want to say to it and be very clear about it is, in horse racing back home, there are a lot of us that didn't get to go to high school. There's a lot of us that didn't get to get the education that one should require to try and get for themselves. A lot of guys
Right.
were out of school from a very early age, so they didn't get that structure of education that you can go and do certain things for yourself.
Yes.
And we tend to make fun at each other in the paddock. Guys used to, if you didn't have thick skin at the paddock back home, you know what I mean? The guys with the kind of talk guys would things that would tell you, you either can take it or you go, or you want to fight.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
can
mean?
only imagine.
And saying that, Derek, when you came to North America, it's different. People are here are willing to help you.
Yes.
Like Sean
Right.
said, when Laurie Severe come to him and say to him, you know what I mean? This is this and that, asking questions. These guys are willing to help you.
Mhm.
And there is no shame of saying, hey, you know what? I can't read properly. I can't spell properly. I can't do that properly. What are the avenues you can do to help me to better this?
Mhm.
And
That's
I had
those
those issues. A part of that was my issue too. But I found avenues to better myself.
those are words of wisdom, man.
You
Words of
understand?
wisdom.
And then and when these guys got together and standing up in a little knit thing up here and talking, they weren't talking things constructive for each other to show each other there's a way out of this, or there's a way that you can do this or you can do that. You know what I mean? You working and making X amount of money, not just put your money in the bank. Try to get some sort of financial support with RSPs or something like that. All these things that you had opportunity that, hey, the day comes that you as a groom, there's no pension plan, only the HBP with that little pension plan. You don't have none of these benefits behind you. You don't have no doctor stuff or stuff. You go to HBP and pay $35 a month for all these things. We don't Horse racing is not an office job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
You understand? You get
you
hurt
get an
tomorrow.
injury also. All that stuff too.
Yeah, so I'm saying, and with all these things, teaching each other instead of stand up and talking about, who beat that boy yesterday, or what jockey is better than this jockey and that thing. Have a little education conversation among each other to say, hey man, you know what? Leroy just told me yesterday, well, you know what? When the week come, I can go and open a TFC account, or I can go and get some RSPs and put a piece of money in it every week. At the end of the year, when the tax time come, or when retirement time come, and they want to go back to Barbados and say, hey, I had enough of it. I got something to do with me. All these things that we weren't able to share amongst each other.
Yes.
And when
yes.
you know what I mean, you understand what I'm saying, Derek? So it's not just about in the horse racing and remember where you came from and able to take yourself to the next level. And I can call a few of these guys that own their own homes on the same paper and not paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So this is all that to it, coming from where we were to be where we are today.
Sounds like you have a lot of information that guys can probably get from you.
Well, I try sharing it with a few guys that will listen to me.
Do you find that there's a lot of guys who are willing to listen to you?
There's a few that would listen, and there's a few that you know what I mean, and that already there.
Mhm.
You know what
Perfect.
I mean? There's a few that's already there. You know what I mean? So it's so important. And the same thing, like I'm using like little Micah that I'm talking about before. You know what I mean? I try to fill his head with as much information as I can to show him because he didn't have a father figure in his life. You know what I mean? And he's going to make mistakes, but I want him to be able to prepares mentally that what, when you become a writer, the things that are going to come your way, the decisions that you're going to make, the pressure that you're going to be under, all the decisions that you have to make going forward. And it starts here. Don't wait till you become a writer to start working on it now. You know what I mean? Start working on it now because you're going to be big. If you become the jockey that I think that you will be, you're going to have a lot of money in your pocket.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Look, when we look at basketball, all these things, how much basketball players that makes ton of money and their
Mhm.
first paycheck, Derek, they went out and spend so much, not realizing, you know what, shit, we gotta pay taxes here, we gotta do this, we gotta do, and by the time they spend it, Shaq could tell you, you know what I mean? All these things, it's gone. So don't wait till you get to that point in your life to realize, wow, I didn't know that there's so much behind it. And that's why one of the reasons when I was with Reed, I learned so much from the financial point, the business part of life, and everything. I learned so much from these guys, and I take a little piece from every one of them.
Mhm.
I think it's important that you share that information with a whole bunch of guys from the industry, especially coming off the rock. I think that you don't have to do it casually. You can do it maybe perhaps in a setting that they know exactly what they're coming for. So the
Yes,
guys who are coming there know exactly what they're coming for. No skylarking, none of that stuff.
yes, you have
You
to.
know.
Yeah,
And so I think it might be small, but these things are things that are needed, and
yeah.
the sooner the better.
It's like I explained to them, like, go claiming a $5,000 horse. We're not in Barbados. Why you want to go claim a five? I'm not saying a $5,000 horse can't give you something financially. You can't support you financially, but when you done run a $5,000 horse, you might end up running a Ford Erie.
Mhm.
And again,
Mhm.
no discrimination to the Ford Erie, no discrimination, nothing like that. I'm just trying to talk from a business point of the game. And you go and rent a Ford Erie, you got to get a horse shipped to Ford Erie, so that's money out. And if you win a $5,000 race, what are you making from it? You got to pay your jockey,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? You got to pay me your vet or something like that. And when you're done, what's in your pocket?
Not much.
Not much. So what's the point of taking your money? Say, oh, it's $5,000. That's not much money. I can go claim out for $5,000 and win a $3,000 race at Fort Erie. For what?
Mhm.
How much of those races you have to win to be able to be say, okay, I got some money in my pocket. It's the same thing as an agent. And I'm not saying that I don't want to ride $5,000 horses, but I want to win some of those big races,
So you
and
see how important it is that what you're saying, you put that in a setting where you can teach that, where you can talk about it, share that information, and build that union amongst the community that is willing to build up from that.
yeah,
And
You know,
not only that, I found for myself, I will always spend my money in Ocala buying a 2-year-old that's, I mean,
yeah,
coming up to
yeah,
run.
yeah.
And I always found that was the perfect investment. I mean, Big George from Ocala Stud, I don't know if he's watching too, but his DNA was all over every money, every cent I made in Canada because he always put me onto good horses
That
in
way you need that.
Ocala
You
that
need
seemed
that
to,
contact. You need that
yeah,
contact.
you know
And
what I
not
mean?
saying that you can't go and buy a horse for $5,000 and you go on to do great
Yeah,
things.
but most of the horses got problems, man. I'm
Yeah,
talking
and they
about
do, they do, they do.
spending $2,000 with
Yeah,
something that is
yeah,
no problems.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. And it can happen.
You got so much horse in Ocala, you
Yeah,
could always get something cheap, man. And we used
yeah.
to go and buy them down there for 2,000. I ended up buying my house off of
Yeah.
what
Well,
silver. You know what I
that's what
mean?
that's what I'm saying. So those are the things that you like to see some of the guys make changes in, knowing that what, let's do the right thing. If they can get the right guys that they can trust and can get along together properly, and like
Mhm.
Derek was saying, have that little syndicate and says, okay, let's go to the sale and buy something for 20,000. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Having
yeah,
2, 3 guys that that can really come together and stick together, and when
yes,
decision is made that we can be like this tight together
yes,
and
yes,
says, you know
yes,
what, not one body want to pull this way, the other body pulling that way, the body
yes,
pulling that way. Because that horse you can run for 20,000 and he ran his first start and you win impressive. And somebody can come and offer you 100 freight.
yes.
Don't even
Correct.
hesitate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You want to hunt? You're gonna give me 100 for this? Well, take the stall, the halter, everything,
That's
and
part of
go.
the business, right?
And yeah, part of it. But you
Yeah.
might have one guy saying, "Man, we just win a nice race with this horse, man. Why are you gonna go sell him?" You know what I mean? No, don't play this game as a rich man. Play as a poor man.
I'm so happy you said that because that's the problem when we
So I say,
first met
words of
Canada.
wisdom.
No, but when we first met in Canada, that was Lawrence Severe's way though.
Yeah,
He seldom. So when you win a horse, no, you might win a big race, a big stake race, and you going back to the barn feeling happy.
yeah.
When by the time you get ready to barn, the horse is sold.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only that, you want that when you sell that horse to that guy, that the very first race he wins, you want it to win. You're praying and
Of
begging
course.
he wins. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Please let this guy be successful. Because if you can go back and buy the money you made from him, buy two more,
yeah.
and one of those sorts of even before he runs, Derek. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
Leroy, by the way, someone is saying you made him cry. I don't know why they're saying this, but they're saying you made him cry.
No, but I mean, let's be very news our common sense with what we're speaking here, right? You know what I mean? How can you go? It's like okay, Sean is a trainer. How can Sean compete with Mark Cassie with the numbers of horses he have?
Hard.
Right? It's impossible. Not saying that he might not get away with one or two.
Yeah,
We're
you win
not
one or
saying
two
Sean
state
is not a good
races.
horse trainer. He's just saying the numbers, the
Yeah,
statistics.
the numbers.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
won. I won one state race against Mark Cassie with a horse called Rum Splasher, the Collins
yeah.
Stake. I remember we bought him for 10,000. And Patrick came around with the barn. I said, "Hall, we doing putting that 10,000 claim in that race?
Yeah.
You are a monster." The only good thing about it is we beat him, but
Yes,
that's
yes.
once in all those years I was
Once
there. You know
in
what I
how
mean?
many times? So
Yeah.
that's the one thing I like to see change among our guys that trying to build something for themselves. You know what I mean? It's kind of combine a little more together and play the game at a different level because
I
in order
agree.
to play that
I
game at a
agree.
level, I'm not saying I don't want to go out 40 and run a horse, but if I'm looking to get to that next level, 40 is not really the place you want to be.
No,
You know
correct.
what I mean? They're
No
horses that
disrespect. No disrespect to Fort Erie,
no,
right?
no disrespect, no disrespect, because those guys down there have to eat too. But
Yeah, that's right.
you want to play the game at the level you want to play at. You have to step up your game. You
Yeah.
have to step up your game. Oh, you think that Marquez is able to stay in the game for so long? Josie Carl stay in the game for so long. Sid Attard, Bob Tiller, Mike Doyle, Kevin Attard, upcoming trainer. One of my favorite trainers at Woodbine is Donnie McCrae. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Super horseman. But let's follow where these guys are going. Let's get one of you guys trying to compete in the same level as these guys, but do it together. Together
I,
we're
I'm gonna
stronger.
say so. I'm gonna say something, and I hope that people don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, I follow horse racing. Like on Saturday, I watch it, put my TV on, and I get my channels, and I watch horse racing and blah 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 blah. And I always wonder for the Bajan trainers and the connections.
yeah,
Now I know everybody got an ego and
yeah,
everybody wants to win. They're
yeah,
super competitive,
yeah.
but they can come together and get a wonderful horse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you have to come together as a unit, though, Derek. You know what I mean? And we've grown up for so long, and our history is always tell us to fight against each other, not to come together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Bob Marley said, the songs come together and let's make it work, right? You know what I mean? And by coming together, but we have to be able to do that first. You can't just, say, let's go do this. You got to be able to pick who you're going to come together with that's going to be able to sustain the mental frame of mind to have that business part of it to say, hey, this is our goal. This is what we set ourselves up to do. And this is what we want to accomplish. And when the opportunity comes for us to accomplish this, let's grab it by the horn and run.
Mhm, mhm.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So don't. It's like I walk in the kitchen one day before I was still a groom, and I hear a Bajan guy say, "Man, that patch, your husband, he's this, he's that." Here's a guy from Barbados, and here's another guy from Barbados that is flying off flag where no jockey has ever done it before.
Highest level.
You know what I mean? And you're pulling him down
Yeah.
because
I
you
hate that too.
because you
That
think
drives me nuts.
these are the things what I'm talking about. I'm that's not using
Yeah.
Patrick because he's Patrick's husband. Maybe even make it, but might even say that about Carlos Grant. I might even say it about Ted. I might say about this buddy.
Mhm.
Don't do that. You know what I mean? How stupid you're sounding. Because that same guy, you might need to go to him and says, listen, man, I need a job.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that guy might be able to say, let's go.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know what I mean? These are the things that I'm
Right.
talking about. So for me,
It goes right back to Reed Baker when he says, you don't refuse those horses.
no, you don't. You don't. You know what I mean? And that's something Reed teach me. You know what I mean? You pick up the phone and Reed says, Leroy, I got another horse coming. I said, but Reed, where are we going to put him? And Reed would joke around and says, listen, just call the mason and then the carpenter. Let's build another stall. And that's when he jokingly say that. You know what I mean? So these are the things that you learn from these guys. But again, it goes back to why I'm saying you got all these guys that you can look at and see why they've been in the game for so long. Ralph
Right.
Bayamonte bought a couple horses, and this last three horses that he sold, and he said, help keep him in the game. You know what I mean? Because those horses don't there run good, and the phone is ringing, and you got Gary Barber that owns horses for Mark Cassie. That's his style of doing things now. He really don't go and buy too many 2 years no more. He sees a horse run pretty nice race. He says, get on the phone, get that guy's number. Let's make him an offer. You know
Wow.
what I mean? Let's make
Pretty
him an offer.
slick.
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty
that's
slick.
a pretty smart way to
Good
do
business.
business. You know what I mean? So instead of
I
going to
like
real,
that. I like that.
you know what I mean? So you just observe these things and see that, hey, you could be that same guy that go and buy a horse for 20,000 and the horse run a beautiful race. His numbers are good, everything about him is right. And it's Mark Cassie calling you saying that Gary Barber is interested in buying your horse. And when you got a guy like Gary Barber gonna offer you 100 grand for a horse, how can you refuse that, Derek?
Don't refuse it.
You know what I mean? And hoping that you take that money and buy two more, and before the horse even run, you can call him Mark and say, Mark, I got a 2 year old here, man. He looks promising. He's training well. You want to come and take a look at him before you even run him?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Offer him before he even runs.
Yes.
Because if you can buy him for 20 and he's offering you 70 or something for him,
Go with it.
you go with it and hope that he does good. But no, that becomes a part of your ammunition. Buying some
Because
horses and turning the money over.
I think when you come to from the islands, you always think that when I sell a horse and it do well, that you get jealous and say, "But that could have been me." But you got to take that business, the business
But
side of
that's
it,
the
man.
teaching. Like we
Yeah,
can't always talk
yeah,
about this stuff. People like yourself, Leroy, who's established, you already built this reputation at Woodbine. You've already been in good hands. You've been around good trainers. You got a good jockey and good jockeys.
I
You
was
got that
fortunate though.
reputation.
I was one of the ones that were fortunate to be to get in that path and got it there with my hard work and the things that I provide and help myself with and got the help of other people like Sean and
That's but
you
that's
know,
but that's the business. That's how it goes in any business. Because
yeah,
you did you watch the movie, the McDonald's movie? Sometimes it's just how it falls.
yeah.
You
Well,
got to go with it.
I talk about Matt Dawes. I mentioned it like Colonel Sanders, right? Colonel Sanders had what? Well, it was 1,600 people that he went and offered his recipe to, and none of them, all of them said no. And then one guy, it was what 1,601 or something like that, and say yes. And at 65, it happened, right? At 65 is when it did happen, right? And he's got one of the biggest franchises in the world.
So like people sometimes we tend to follow traditional stuff, and we tend to do the same thing over and over, but it takes that one person to break the cycle and
Yeah.
and keep
Knowledge.
it going, or
Knowledge,
change things for people.
reading is knowledge, watching TV is knowledge. You get on
Right.
YouTube and you watch some things that are important that can teach you things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And make something out of something.
So all that being said, are you excited for the season?
It's horse racing. It's
Because I
horse
mean, like
racing.
it's been a pandemic in 2 years,
Well,
and I mean racing still went on, but this year might be the changing point of the pandemic, right?
well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And I use the pandemic in a positive way. I mean, it has depressed a lot of people. It's taken a lot of people away from us and stuff like that. But I personally try to use things positively. What positive things for yourself can you take from what this pandemic has taught you and what it has done for you, and what you can think about doing better for yourself. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So this year, you look at it, hey, we're gonna get to start early this year, our normal time this year. So we're gonna get in the amount of days that we're supposed to get in. You know what I
When's
mean?
that? April?
Yeah, April 15th, right? And where Queen's Plate is gonna be a little later this year, you know what I mean? Which gives people a little more time. And you guys hear it from Roger Atfield, a little
Yeah,
more time
right.
to prepare their horses for those races, which they don't have to abuse their horse, in between those races to get to them and stuff like that. So there's all the positive things you can think about to go forward, right? And the other thing is like now, years ago, Sean could say for this that people that was coming from Florida, you have to be worried about those guys' horse because they used to win all the races. But now you have time to prepare your horses, and when opening day comes, you think, oh, we're just gonna come up here and beat you up. And the horses that we're here getting ready come in win a lot of races.
Yeah, yeah.
All those things you have to look at from a different point of view. You know what I mean?
Come back in
Things
the, come back in the day, we used to start a lot earlier, man.
yeah, it started a lot earlier. You know what I mean? So there's so much positive that you can take from it, and the only one thing I like to see change is the help, is getting help. And allowing more help back here for us to be more successful and let these horses get the care take that they really deserve to get, because a lot of people don't give the horse the credit that it deserves. One thing about Reed Baker used to say to me, when you're taking a wind picture with the horse, guys will go at the back of the horse and stand up, or guys will stand in front of the horse and stuff. So he says, never do that. Let the horse get his credit. That's the horse 2 minutes of fame. Let the horse get it. Don't go hide, stand in the wind picture. I always tell Devon all the time, stop standing at the back of the horse. You stand at the front of the horse, let the horse get its glory. It's about the horse. The horse has to get its glory too. You know what I mean?
So who's Devon?
One thing I want to say, having guys like you, positive guys like you, I should say, not just guys like you, positive guys like you, because you're a shining light to me. I really like the man you become.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Evolved to be
Thank you.
a rock
Really
star. Okay.
Well,
but you're still in the battle. You're still in the battle. I want you to. So I can try from my end down here.
Yes.
I'll try from my end.
Yes.
But you're still there. Just help guide me, even if I gotta put people onto you. For guidance.
I know I used to see him in the ring a lot on TV, but I don't see him in the ring no more. So.
Agent now.
There you go.
We're not allowed in there anymore. You're not allowed.
This is what he's good at, though. This guy is a good. He motivates people, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Motivates a lot.
I want to give back. I want to give back. It's all about giving back. It's not about me. It's not about me. I just want to be better than me.
Yes.
But I got a perfect spot for you if you want to take it on at some point.
We're at that age now. We feel we should give back, though.
Yeah,
I got a perfect spot for him, Sean, because I'm working. Well, I'm trying my best, really hard. But these youngsters in Barbados, I'm kind of connected with them. So they do like a mentorship thing with young men. So this is something that we're trying to form. And I just want. Can I lean on you so you can talk to them at some point?
Whatever it takes.
Because
it's not about me. It's not about me.
Like these guys who are like just 20 years old or just under 20, they really want to learn. They really want to like understand something because they're tired of some of the stuff that they see.
Whatever it takes. Like I said, I want to give back. I want to just be better than me. I don't want to be better than Sean or better than you. I want to be better than me.
What I find in Barbados is all of our good men are outside of Barbados.
Yes.
And
unfortunately.
The deep hole.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing.
The guidance, they need structure and guidance. And I mean, you just need one of them to turn and get success, and the other we're gonna say, well, he did it, I can do it, and keep that chain reaction, right? And
Sean, that's a line that all the girls used to say back in the days. All the good men out of Barbados. I didn't expect that from you.
No, but it's true.
The good horse. Let's the good horseman, Sean. Let's even it off with Derek again. The good horseman.
But you see, when we do shows like this, right?
Yes.
And we talk to some more Barbadian good men.
Yes.
These youngsters watching,
Yes.
They're watching.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. When I was so eager to say, Sean, if there's anything I can help when I watch your first show and I can help in anywhere possible, please, I'm ready. Just tell me when. Just tell me when, because I just hoping, like I said, when I did that show that I sent you in, about what I went through in life and stuff like that, I didn't do it for somebody to be pity for me. Yes. I just do it hoping that I can touch somebody that been through similar things. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever watch Ray Lewis that played for the Ravens. You know what I mean? Yeah, defensive tight end, right? His father used to beat his mother unmerciful. Same thing he went through. And you know what he started doing? He took a deck of cards, and he started doing push-up with those cards. So he put a 1 down, he did 1. If he pulled a jack, he did 10. If he did an ace, was 50, and he did push-ups. And he did that for a long period of time. You know what I mean? And he
Mhm.
became. I if you got to pull him up and watch his Hall of Fame speech. Please,
Mhm.
please
Mhm.
pull it when you get a chance. Go on
Yes,
YouTube
I'll do that.
and
yes,
listen to his Hall of Fame speech.
yes.
And if you don't walk away with something from listening to this guy, he's a leader, man. I mean, and that's something I took from a lot of sports guys. I follow a lot of sports guys that they're prime time Deion
Yes,
Sanders. These guys,
yes,
this guy was Showtime, but everybody seen behind the scene how hard he worked to prepare
yes,
himself for a game. You know what I mean? They're the same Ray Lewis. These guys prepared themselves for Kobe Bryant. How these guys
yes,
prepared themselves. They saw these guys saying to call them ball hogs and stuff like that.
yes,
But then they see these guys want to take their whole team on their shoulder
yes,
and take it with them. You know what I
yes,
mean? Those guys motivate me, and I still watch them up to now.
yes,
I
yes.
still listen to those same motivational speeches all up to now. You know what I mean? Because I just want to keep punching and punching and going forward. You
You
know what I
seem like
mean?
a hard worker, and Sean is a hard worker too. Workaholics.
Yes, yes. That's the only way
It's
you're
the
gonna
only
be
way, though.
successful, man.
It's the
Yeah,
only
That's
how are
way.
right.
you gonna sit down and get somewhere in life, there? You
That's
can't sit
right.
down and get somewhere in life. You know
And
what
it's
I mean?
important that the youngsters know that too.
Yes.
You know.
You
It's hard
have
work.
you need the guys around you too to help push you, right? To
Yes,
help motivate you, to help you along the way. You can't do it by
yes,
yourself.
yes,
You know what I mean? You want to, by you putting in the hard work and putting in the effort that you put in, it shows them guys. Look, he's an assistant trainee, makes more money than me, but he worked just as hard as me or more. And
let me
if
tell you
he's
something. I think a lot of people, right, gets mistaken with Patrick husbands when Patrick is showing himself. You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes,
But I used to go up with Patrick on Mondays, but after a certain time, Patrick just disappear.
yes, he gone. He
And
gone.
Patrick don't miss. I never know Patrick to miss a day of work in his
No,
life.
no, no,
You understand
no,
me?
no.
As he got great, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Instead of coming at 6, the agents will let him come in at 7.
yeah. You try to accommodate the guy. You know what I mean?
You know
I
what I
feel a
mean?
lot of people say things about him now. You know what I mean? He's to the age where certain things, and you try to what I mean, work around the situation and trying to find the right blend of things that suits him and keeps him happy and keep him going. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And you try to do that. You know what I mean? So for me, I have a great relationship with him. I
yeah,
understand him. I understand
of
him,
course.
and he speaks his mind. And sometimes things that he might say that you want to
Reining him in.
ring him in and stuff like that. But I can talk to him, and he knows
Yes,
that I
That's
got it. He knows that
But
I
that's
got
what
it.
makes a person great
Yeah.
because you're not gonna be great taking everything that somebody tells you. You gotta
No.
be able to speak for yourself and say
Yeah.
some things that not
Yeah.
everyone agrees with.
I agree with. Yeah. But I have a great relationship with him. Patrick would take his shirt off his back for you. He'll
mhm,
take his shirt off his back for you.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing about him. A lot of people don't understand. He's helped a lot of people, and he's great to work for. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well,
There's
guys,
sometimes. Go ahead.
we've been going now for almost
Okay.
3 hours,
Yes.
and
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 tell you something. Let me tell you something. One more thing.
Yes.
I was always worried about carrying a show too long.
Yes.
And
mhm.
Jennifer Morrison told me, Sean, whenever you got somebody talking, let them talk. So Jennifer, this one's for you, girl.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the length of time. I'm just letting you guys understand that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was worried before, but when Jennifer Morrison told me, Sean, when he got somebody good talking, let him flow.
Well, you know what? I mean, we can talk forever, but the whole thing about what you guys are trying to do here, you know what I mean? And you guys got to give yourself a pat on the shoulder for what you're trying to do. It's not just about having a podcast and trying to say, I have a podcast and stuff like that. Sean is trying to do something to generate some help and some doors to open some doors for those youngsters in Barbados. And if a guy like myself, a guy like Roger Atfield, by using these guys as an advocate for people to listen to and understand what's the pros and cons about what we're going through in this game, you know what I mean? And it can help somebody. We want to talk for hours because we want to touch somebody.
You want to touch somebody.
We
Yes.
want to touch
Yes.
somebody. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So I got 3 kids. You know what I mean? And two of my oldest kids, I got the way through college, and that's one of the big things I promised myself growing up. I didn't get the chance to do that. My kids have to go through college. You know what I mean? I have a daughter that is ready to go to Ireland in October to do her masters. You know what I mean? I got a son that my oldest son, he's into marketing for a running shoe company. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got a little one here with me. With the wife here. You know what I mean? So and hoping to do the same thing for him, because I'm not living for him. I'm living to see these guys have
Yes.
something in life. You know what I mean? And if I can stretch it and help somebody else, man,
Very
I'm ready.
important.
It's
Very important.
very, very important, man. I don't want to get up, I mean, live in a nice house or drive a nice car and something and forget about other people, man. I
Yeah.
want to be able to say, you know what, you need help, and wherever I can help, as long as you're willing and ready to put the time in and the effort, hey, I'm here. If you got
Amen.
questions,
Definitely agree.
and it's what I can help you with, and if you can lean on me a little bit, but you gotta be ready and willing. Because if you're not ready and willing, don't waste my time. Don't waste
So,
my time.
so let me see. So, what's next for Leroy? Are you happy right now, and this is your stage to the next level, or is there something on your radar, share with us what's next?
I want to be the best at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I don't think I'm there yet.
Mhm.
I
I don't think
agree.
I'm there yet. You know what I mean? And I want to be able to you know what I mean, the next guy that I have with me to be able to say, okay, you know what? Let's get to that next level. You
So
know
But
what
you
I
know
mean?
what?
listen.
I think Sean, after this show, I think
Uh-huh.
there's going to be some calls, Leroy. Some more calls Leroy will be getting because
No,
I
because
think like
what?
people like him need to get on the radar of some other people's.
Of course. Because what I'm gonna ask you now, what I'm gonna ask you now is, what is more your passion though? Being an agent or training horses? Tell me.
You know, I have a buddy of mine that always say, Leroy, training horses is your thing. Training horses is your thing. And I keep saying horse racing is anything in horse racing that I can do, that's what I want to do. I'm
Mhm.
going to be happy doing it. As
Okay.
long as I can be successful doing it. If I'm not successful doing it, I don't want to do it. I have
Mhm.
to be successful. You know what I mean? I didn't work, like I did in my articles, when I first got Patrick Husbands as my first jock as an agent. You know what I mean? A lot of people might say, you know what, well, he got lucky, he got the top
Mhm.
rider. But I didn't just got the top rider. I worked hard
Of course.
to get that opportunity.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? And I then went and begged Patrick Husbands to be his agent.
Yeah.
Patrick Husbands come to me and give me the opportunity because Patrick Husbands, figured out, hey, that guy is well known around here. You know what I mean?
Of
He's
course.
respectable. He's done this, he's done that. And while I was an assistant trainer, I put, I called Patrick husband's name to trainer to Reed Baker to put him get him on horses and stuff like that. But I also knew Patrick Husband before we were where we are today.
Yes.
So I didn't know Patrick Husband's just the other
Yes.
day.
No.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And when I was assistant trainer for Steve Owens, I remember Patrick Husbands and Emil rode a lot of horses for us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that same year, Emil bought tickets for my kids to go to Barbados. And when I got to Barbados, Patrick gave me pocket money. You
Nice.
know what I mean? So these guys, we go so far back.
Yeah.
You
And
know
you
what I
guys look
mean?
after you, man. You guys look after you.
And my hard work and my effort and my mentality and stuff like that helped give me what I have today. And
Okay.
I want to be humble. I just want to be humble. I'm not better than nobody. I just want to be better than me. You
Well, you know
understand?
what? I think this show and I think the connections with the show and the jockeys, the agents, the trainers, because there's a lot of Barbadian trainers now. Because you start to name all these guys, and I recognize them as trainers.
Mhm.
It's a good opportunity to look yourself in the mirror. I think it's a good opportunity for the guys to see, okay, look, these are real numbers. I mean, like when you look at these numbers, these are a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Let's start to do things in a business. Not that
Yeah.
it's not there yet. I'm not saying it's not there yet because I
Yeah.
see a lot of guys
Yeah.
in the winner's circle. I see a lot of guys flossing. I see a lot of guys doing their thing. But there's a chance to look at each other and say, look, we can do something here,
Yeah.
something big.
I think I forgot two guys who did there too, which is Nicholas' two sons too. They have
Yes.
trainers
Yes.
license.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yes. You're right.
Ronaldo,
Yes.
and Renico. You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's two other guys that I
Yep,
forgot their name.
bigger
These guys,
Ronaldo.
if I forgot your name, I apologize for that. It just came to mind that I'm forgetting these guys.
Yes.
You know what I
Because
mean?
what I tell these youngsters here now who are going to win, a lot of us Barbarians have set trails for them to follow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't go out the beaten path. Get on one of
Yes,
them trails.
yeah, Yeah.
You understand? And there are
Well,
many trails that they
I'm,
could go to right now.
I'm hoping
Many
this
trails.
year that I can get back a trip down to Barbados, because through the pandemic and stuff is what kind of hold me back from coming down. You know, I got my kids here, my kids and my family, and my wife, she suffers with vertigo. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And she doesn't work and stuff like that. She takes care of the little guy, and
Yeah.
family means a lot to me. Family is
Yeah.
very, very, very important to me, and I'm not gonna just step away and go and do things and don't be able to, you know what I mean, make sure that they're good. My son is 27, my daughter's 24, and I still, you know what I mean, the communication and be there and still trying to guide them and give them an understanding of life when things get a little bumpy and rough for them. I'm still there for them. So family is very important to me.
Great.
You know what I mean? Very, very important to me.
Very good. Very
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
yeah. So
Now they
Uh,
tell me I'm always running, like I'm
yeah.
always running away, trying to end the show and all
Yeah.
that. They
Well,
want
hey,
you to
whenever
keep
you guys
talking.
ready,
So
whenever you guys ready, don't hesitate. You know what I mean? We can talk
I
forever.
don't want to deprive nobody
No, no, no. But
from
if the
all
time
this
is, you
good
know, time.
conversation and all this knowledge and
Yeah,
wisdom. I
yeah,
don't want to deprive
yeah.
nobody.
No,
But
no.
the
Yeah,
show got to end at some time, right?
sometime. Yeah, yeah, sometime.
So,
all
Yeah,
good things
John,
come to an end.
yeah.
John, you have anything else you want to talk about? Or you want to
No, I
get
just
from Leroy?
this the reason why Leroy is sitting here across from us is that I knew that this is what he was going to bring to this show. Okay,
Thank you,
he's
Sean.
always he's always been a top guy. He was always one of our top men,
Thank
and
you.
he's evolved now to be bigger, better at what he's doing. And these are the people we need outside of Barbados to help guide us going forward with the youngsters who are coming up now. You know what I mean? He's the type of guys that no we hear Rocco speaking, no we had two Barbadian guys who came on this show and spoken to us, and they were everything what I wanted,
Thank you,
and
Sean.
and you, I'm so proud, man. You know,
Thank you. Thank you.
proud.
Thank you.
I can't say anything else, boss,
Thank
because
you.
And
Thank
I
you.
have to agree. I have to agree. And this is me directly to Leroy because, like I told you earlier, back in 2000 and something, I don't know, 2005, 2000, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and me and my buddy, we went over to the track and we saw you, young man, in the ring, in the suit,
Yeah.
and we always liked the direction that you were heading.
Yeah.
I didn't know you. I think you might have said something to us one time, and it
Yeah.
was like something like Bajan Boys or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay. Yes. 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 I heard
something
the
like
book.
that,
Heard them talking. Heard the
right?
yeah, the accent.
But it was cool because we say, look, we always observe and we say, look, we think that this guy he looks like he's heading in the right direction, and you can read somebody demeanor,
yes,
you can read somebody body language and
But I have
stuff
a
like
lot of
that.
people to thank for it, though. There, I have a lot of people to thank for it. You know what I mean? Even the same guys that are training now, call a lot of these guys I still have conversation with, and I can have a civilized conversation with them, able to talk and stuff with them still. Because these guys, I would never, because no matter what level I reach, I still walk in these guys' barn. And you know what I mean? I try, and even though I get to a point where I try not to call them by their nicknames, I try to call them by their names because I want to give them the respect that they deserve. Because if I walk in Mark Cassie's barn and I want to treat Mark Cassie, I want to be able to treat these guys the same way too.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because they got a heartbeat just like all of us. You know what I mean? And they're trying to get the same place that the other guys are right now. So you know what I
I
mean?
agree.
It's important. Those things are important to me, and make sure that even if I don't ride their horse, I still walk by their barn and shout them. How's it going today? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
well,
To me, it's very important. You know what
listen,
I
I
mean?
know you've touched a lot of people. I got a message here just now for John Mark Cozier. Tell me you're the top man. Great show. So, I mean, when Barbadian trainers are even watching, I'm proud. This is what I want, man. You know
Who's
what I mean?
that guy you say? Who's?
John Mark Cozier.
Oh, okay, okay,
John
okay.
Mark.
Yeah. Well, again, you know what I mean. Again, it's not about you guys. Gonna make me cry now. I
You
get
gotta
very
start
emotional.
bringing tissues to this show,
I
man.
get very emotional. Seriously, I do get emotional because you know I it's about being humble and at the same time able to speak and hope that I can touch the right people, knowing that hey, you can do anything in life that you put your mind to. Don't matter where you came from, don't matter who's your father, who's your mother, what color your skin, none of those things. Put all those things behind you. But just know that you can get and do anything you want to do. You know what I mean? Just open your eyes and your mind and educate yourself, man. And knowing that there's so many people there that can help you. And hard work, man. Be able to see if a guy tell you to do something when it like sounds stupid, think about it and says, you know what, this guy is telling me this can get me. Where can this get me? Can it get me in jail or it can get me in the Queen's Palace? You know what I mean?
True.
Think about it. You know what I mean? Or this guy come and say, who's you to talk to me? Who's you to tell me this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Those things, man, we gotta put them things behind us. Now, this negative part of our life, we gotta change to be able to go forward, man.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's important. For me, it's important. You
I
know
think
what
it's
I
a
mean?
respect thing too. Like
Well,
once we learn to respect each other and learn to you give respect, you get respect, right?
we grew up in Barbados with it. I mean, you go to school and your fingernails were dirty, you get hit with a ruler across them. Your hair not combed properly. You mean let's go. I'm not saying we gotta bring those days back, but a little whipping and stuff like that is done a lot. It done a lot for me. I got a lot of whippings. Trust me, the whippings that I got, you guys don't even want to know the whippings that I got. You know,
You
one of the
can't do
worst
that
whippings.
in Canada, man.
No,
Yeah,
I know.
up.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm just saying though. I'm not using the say to go whip your kids or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying what some
But they
structure
trust.
to your life, to your life, what it can
Yeah.
do for you.
Of
You know what I
course.
That's
mean?
true.
And
I
stop
agree
telling
Like
the
with
that's
next
you.
guy,
one
man.
lesson, though. That
One
was
Huh?
hundred
one lesson.
percent. 100%.
And
Yeah.
stop telling the next guy, man, you look like this, or you look like that guy. Go to the guy and say, man, listen, man, let's do something about that, man, and let's better ourselves. Don't go telling the guy's done already. Go and step on him and push him 2 feet further down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was angry and stuff with my mother for what they were putting me through, but yet still, I went back to Barbados. I went to my mother's grave, and I forgive my mother for the things that I've done. I asked her for forgiveness because got pretty rude with my mother because I saw my father disrespect her, and I seen that you see your father don't say, well, he don't disrespect my mother, why should I? You grow with that mentality as a kid. But I was able to go back to my mother's grave and tell her one thing, Mom, I made it. He said I wasn't gonna make it, I made it. But I also want to apologize to you for some of the things I said and I done. You know what I mean? My brother did a lot of things to me, and my brother, I make sure that I get on the phone and call my brother. Has his own butcher shop in Barbados. I make sure every he needs the saw blades for his saw and stuff. I make sure I buy them and send them for him. He got sick one year and he needed some money to get to the doctor. I made sure I did that. I put all that stuff behind me. You know what I mean? My brother is the best of friends because I ain't hold a grudge against him. What my brother and my mother did to me, it wasn't their fault. It was just what went on in my house at that time. And I come up here and I watch shows like Dr. Phil and Oprah and realize, you know what, the chain of reaction that can cause them. And I got to learn and understand that my father was abused as a kid growing up. So that trend, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That
Yes.
happens a lot. That
It
happens a
happens a
lot, right?
lot. So by reading and getting knowledge and understanding about these things, it made me be able to put a lot of things behind me and think about better things for myself.
I'm glad you were able to overcome that. I'm
You
glad
know
that you
what
were
I
able
mean?
to actually, just get past some of those things, and
Yeah.
become the person that you are today. And by the way, Leroy Trotman is saying hello to Leroy Trotman. I don't know who the other Leroy Trotman is.
There's a
Maybe you know
politician
who.
in
Oh,
Barbados. There's a
I have
politician
no
in
idea.
Barbados, and there's a Leroy Trotman actually that works for Ricky Griffith up here too.
yes. It got to be him.
Yeah, yeah, and I only know him for years as Fat Man in Barbados.
Fat
Never knew they
man.
named
And he named Leroy
Leroy.
Trotman.
And I only know that he named Leroy up here because one day the lady from the stall office, she get mail or something like that, and they said there was mail for me, and I'm like,
Yeah, he's saying it's me. It's him.
yeah, I said, why you got mail? Why is mail for me? And it's like,
That's
I'm
Fat
going.
awesome.
man. Hello.
I rip it open and I see passports in there, and I'm like, this is not mine. I'm not got nothing to do with passports. And then I get to realize, and that's the only time I knew that his name was Leroy Trotman. And I
Yeah.
knew him as
Wow.
Fat Man in Barbados for years.
Fat man.
Wow.
For years. You know what I mean? And then I didn't even know that he was Pugu and Papadi's brother. I didn't know none of these things.
Okay.
None of these
Wow.
things I didn't know. But I know these guys around the paddock for years, and I didn't know
Yes.
Papadi and there was Troutman's either. Because I remember Papadi had did something and they had that he wasn't allowed in the track and it had the surname and it stopped me. Saying it was that you're not allowed in here. To say that you're not allowed in here. And I said, well, what did I do?
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know none of these things from
Yes.
till I got up here. So again, and as Tiger Dola would say all the time, as the tell Leroy, I'm the good Leroy, he's the bad one. Tiger said, that's what Tiger would say, you know what I mean? Jokingly. But you know what I mean? All these guys, you get to know these guys. And that's why I try to learn. And in Barbados at the racetrack, majority of the guys by a nickname.
Nickname,
Right,
man.
The
exactly.
nickname, you know what I mean? You didn't know these guys' names. And I only learned a lot of these guys' names that some of them that up here. You know
Man,
what I mean? And that's why,
I got with 10 nicknames, man.
well, see, there you
I
go.
got with 10.
I always know you as Sean. I always know you as Sean.
I know, but I got
Yeah.
some men call me Shiggles.
Well, there you go. And I didn't know. None of those names I didn't know. So,
It's call me Blues. That's from my
well, there you
father's
go. You
side.
see,
You know what I mean?
you know what I mean.
So
You
different
know,
friends call me different things, man.
yeah, yeah. Like Rodney Barrel. You know what I mean. I didn't know his name was
Muddy.
Muddy for
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Carlos Grant. We call him Tolly for how many years,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean. All these guys, we can go down the line and see all these guys and know that, hey, and that's why I try to,
Listen, when we were youngsters, right? Turkey used to go by my grandmother.
yeah.
And my grandmother used to get real upset when we call this turkey. He said, Anthony, don't let them call you that. You remember Anthony.
Anthony. But that's what we stuck on ourselves for so many years, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Now you got these guys established the sub and making a name for the sub. Call it by their names and give them that respect that they deserve, because when their name is in a program and they end up winning circle, you know what I mean? You want to hear their name out loud. You know what I mean? So that's what you want to be able to see and
but
see.
Habits are hard to break sometimes.
It is. But for me, again, it's only for me because I come to a level where I want to, and I earn respect and give my respect to these guys, because I just want to feel, you know what I mean? I'm giving these guys what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody else is doing it, I want to do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because these guys are doing something for us.
Yes.
They make it, that name is out there for us. You know what I mean? To say, we got X amount of trainers, we got we got 2 good assistant trainers, maybe there may be more, and we got 3 agents, you know what I mean? We got a couple owners, you know what I mean? And we come from that little rock home.
Yes. And the thing about it is, right,
I
what
agree,
really
man.
upset me sometimes, I find that people they get lost in the shuffle, that we're out there, or not, I'm not there anymore, but you guys out there doing your thing. I mean, the big names they always remember the big names, but the guys, there's so much different avenues of work in North America that we got top men.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Doing good stuff.
Good stuff, you know what I mean?
And if you remember,
Get lost.
Yeah.
You remember Jim Bannon, he mentioned that too. You hear about the names, you hear about say like Mark Cassie, but you the guys that work under him,
he has so many guys
doing a lot of
working
work
for
too,
him.
right?
His assistant trainer is David Adams, right? You know what I mean? So you got to give these guys some credit where credit is due, man. And these guys have done a lot for the game. You know what I mean?
But I was always happy to see that you were in as an assistant trainer to Reed Baker. At that time, Ricky was the assistant trainer to Mark Cassie.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like,
and there were the 2 top bars at that time.
Exactly.
And
it was real cool to see that. It was real cool to see that.
You know what I mean? So that's
appreciate you guys, man.
You know what I mean? To have 2 Barbadian guys running the 2 top barns at Woodbine, you know what I mean? You look at it and say, wow. You know what I mean? So that's why they like to see these guys continue to flourish and do great things. You know what I mean? And that's what we're begging for. You know what I mean? And the guys that came up and went back home and stuff like that. Like Robert Price come up here and test the waters. He ended up back home. I mean, he went Gold Cup and stuff like that. Let's news Carlos Grant. Carlos Grant was one of the first guys I think got a horse in the Gold Cup. I mean, in the Queen's Plate, right? Mm-hmm. He went in the Queen's Plate last year. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So let's remember all these things. You know what I mean?
And I keep saying, like to I speak with Jamal. You mentioned Jamal earlier.
Yes.
I speak with him quite often, and Jet Li and Kevin, they get that mount last year in the Queen's Plate, and I hope that motivates them to strive for bigger things for the future, right?
Yeah, and one of the things I did because I made sure I got a picture of both of them. I called whoever I had to call down in Barbados and send the pictures down to make sure that they publish this down in the newspaper down there, because you got to show that these guys what guys are doing.
Beautiful.
Give those guys a lot of credit.
Beautiful.
For doing what they're doing, and especially Kevin gently behind him and pull him along with him
Yes.
and move forward. You know what I mean? And now Kevin soon's gonna have a little baby too, right? His wife is pregnant.
Okay.
He's gonna have a baby. You want to see these guys, you know what I mean, with a family behind them and supporting
Yeah.
their family and getting something out of what the hard work. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's important. You know, so
Great, man.
you know,
Very
so,
important.
yeah. So
Great.
again, you know what I mean. I so appreciate being here, having been able to get to this pinnacle and talk to you guys and be on you guys' show, falling behind two great Hall of Famers. You know what I mean, and hope that you guys.
Sean Hall's the Hall of Famer here.
Well, hey, we're all Hall of Famers in our heart, right?
Listen, this show is going to be a Hall of Fame show. This particular show, man, it's the longest one we've ever done. And most of the time, you guys tell me they can't leave the screen. So I know just we talked a lot of great stuff. That
Yes, yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean.
yes.
People who
I
want,
hope it continues because
yeah,
we're
It
gonna
man.
will.
have a
It
lot of
will.
a lot more exciting guests on the
It,
show,
it
man.
will. It will continue, Derek. It's a great thing you guys are doing, man. It's a great thing you guys are
We
doing, and it
appreciate
will
that.
continue. Always be positive in everything you do because it will happen. It will happen, and it's happening. You know what I mean? Just make
That
sure you know what I mean that, and hope and pray that somebody takes something away from it, so we can
Yeah,
be blessed with what we're trying
absolutely,
to do because
absolutely.
we're not
Yeah.
just doing it to sit down here and yap our
no,
mouth off, but we want to be able to, you know what I mean, open that next door for that next person and that next person and
it's
next
just what the
person.
educational show, man. You know,
Yeah,
educational. I mean,
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
we brought to the
yeah,
table here tonight. You
yeah.
told us a lot of the Barbadian who's been there,
Yes,
done that,
yes,
and for
yes,
those guys who foreign,
yes,
I hope
yes.
they took every word you said tonight, my brother.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Gospel.
we're always gonna have a few that that gonna take it, and then a few that's gonna just listen to it and just sit back and you know don't have that drive. Everybody don't have that drive. You got to understand that there's not everybody that have that drive. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So a few are chosen. You know what I mean? And only few gonna make it. But let's hope that we can touch those few that are gonna make it
Right, right.
and smile down the road to come, right? And I'm hoping that this year we can see a lot more of these guys in the winner's circle as trainers because almost every one of them that I called there this year win a race,
Yes, yes,
or win a couple races. You
yes,
know what I mean? Ted was pretty dominant this year.
yes,
Randy was pretty dominant this year. Carlos was pretty dominant this year. Ricky was pretty dominant this
yes,
year. You know what I mean? Ryan Jones is making a name for himself because he's associated with those same three Barbadian guys that bought those horses,
right.
Jefferson and Sterling and those, and
Yes,
hopefully these guys
correct.
can continue down that path, right? And you want to get behind them and push them as
As far as it can
where
go,
they
man.
can go, you know what I mean? And open doors for other guys. But we just need that tightness between each other and realize
Yes.
that we need each other to keep going forward. Don't pull each other down.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Be
exactly,
respectable to each other. You know what I mean? Don't
exactly.
see a guy say something and go and yap 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 like that. You know what I mean? Be able to go and say that guy, say, listen, man. I saw you behaving a certain way the other day. That's not gonna fly in where you want to go. You know what I mean? And I hope that guy can listen. Don't be shy to speak up and say something to that guy. Be able to
Mhm.
tell him, listen, man. Hey, you're better than that. We
Yes,
came from that. Let's not continue doing that. Man.
yes,
But a lot of that is missing these days, because a lot of guys don't want to talk to younger people because of what they might get back in return, right?
Well, I ain't shy to do it. I tell you that. I ain't shy to do it. I say it like it is. I see something and I say, listen, you know what I mean? Hey, man, come on, man. You're better than that. Pull your socks up. What are you doing, man? Eh?
but Leroy, you always had that presence, though. You got
But
that presence, man. When you talk, we listen, man.
yeah, yeah. Well, I want you to listen. I mean, if I got get a little aggressive and let you know I'm gonna have to get a little aggressive, I'm gonna get a little
Yeah,
aggressive. If I'm gonna have to give you a little slap, I'm gonna give you a little slap.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And to do I remember Nicholas' two sons one day. There was some situation with Renico, and it was with Tiller's son. You know what I mean? I had a little conflict or something because Tiller didn't write a check for him or something happened, and I happened to walk by. It's like God put me there at the right time,
uh-huh.
and I saw the behavior, and I grabbed that kid and I took him down in a barn in a tack room. I says, "Listen, man, what are you doing, man? Tiller this, Tiller that." I said, "Listen, that man's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a respectable trainer around here. You think if you go and do something to him, who you think is going to get the wrong here?
Yeah,
Although you're right, who you think is going to get the wrong?
yeah,
You. So think. You want to be here tomorrow or you want to be gone tomorrow? You know what I mean? And he kind of got aggressive, and then Ronaldo come in and say something and trying to get into it. And Ronaldo, take Ronaldo and I grab him and I sit him down the same time, and he start getting aggressive. Man, I give him a little slap. I said, "Listen, sit down here, man. I know both of you guys' mother. She came from the same place I came from. I know. I grew up with your father. Listen, man, sit down here, man. Let's talk, man. Let me put some knowledge in your head because there's a tomorrow. You guys are just thinking about today. That
That's
anger,
right.
that aggressiveness, and everything ain't gonna get you nowhere, man. Let's settle down.
Very
Let's
important.
think about what we're doing."
Very important.
And it worked.
And it worked. You know what I mean? Both of them are trainers today, and
Yeah.
both of them I can pass by them and say hi to them at any time. They
Yeah.
don't disrespect me. We're here, and you know what I mean. And I said, your father is a respectable guy around the racetrack. He works at the gate. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not just representing yourself; you're representing your father. You know what I
Family,
mean?
the
Your father.
family, the whole family, man.
You know what I mean? You
And
understand?
the
You know what I
industry
mean?
is very close, right? So
Yeah.
people know people.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta think ahead of what you're doing now that can cause you something later on, next hour, next day, next week. You know what I mean? And all those things. I'm just speaking because I learned all that, and I
Yeah.
try to understand all that, and I try to, fulfill all those wrong things to make myself better too. You know what I mean? Because if I see another one of our guys doing something wrong, I'm gonna go say something to him because I don't want to see them failing.
Mhm.
I ain't about seeing them failing, man. No. You know what I mean? If I can come and give you a push, I want to be there for you. I'm going to be there for you because, hey, if I got to lead, I'm going to lead because that's what I am. I ain't no follower. I'm a leader and I want to lead right.
And that was
Well
about,
said.
me, even myself, you got guys that, so I got some good friends, man, when they see me doing things that kind of demonstrate, boy, stand down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's important to got people, those type of
Yeah.
people around you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when you could be a little flaky, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
You
No,
disappoint
no.
them,
And you have to, you
you
know what I mean?
know?
I don't want a guy look at me and say that, oh, you're a big guy, Leroy. I kind of scared you. No, I'm
Mm,
not a scary guy.
mm,
I'm not a mean guy, but I want to be able to tell you, listen, man, hey, you're better than that, man.
mm,
And Patrick get a little stupid with me, and I say something to him, I tell him what I gotta tell him, and walk away from it. I
mm,
don't stand there and have conflict. And when Patrick done, and Patrick listen to what I say, Patrick will be the first boy to come and apologize to me.
mm.
You know what I mean? He'll be the first boy to come and apologize to me, and that's the kind of person he is. But you gotta be
Yeah, but
able to
Patrick,
look.
Patrick don't be good in that way, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
you have to
you
be
could talk to
able to.
Patrick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you have to be able
you
to
could talk
speak to
Patrick.
people. You have to
Yeah,
be able to speak to people. Don't think that
yeah,
you're better than nobody,
yeah,
because all of us are gonna die. All of us don't care how much we have. We all gonna be going the same place.
yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So just humble yourself and work hard and push yourself to no extreme that so you can get to where you get and be happy doing it, man. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
know it's the sport of kings. I know that
Yes.
is a long way still for some of us. I
Yes.
think if the guys really knit it together, at least for some, the top guys,
Yeah.
they can do something really productive and do something really big.
Yes.
Sport of kings is no joke because
No. No.
speaking of outfield
Yeah.
last week, and he mentioned the reason why he dressed the way how he dressed because
It's important.
you know
It's
the
important.
sport
It's
of
important.
kings.
It's important.
You go to the track,
Yeah.
you felt like you want to be one of those guys,
Yeah.
right?
You have to, man. Your
Top
appearance.
people,
Appearance
there's
makes
the biggest
appearance.
money, the most
Appearance.
money were the people who had the horses.
Appearance,
This
man.
is not a poor man's sport.
No, it's
So,
appearance, man.
like you mentioned earlier, a $5,000 horse. Uh, yeah, you know. So you take your $5,000 horse and you talk to your brethren and you say, "Yo, you got your $5,000 horse. Rather than spend it on that, let's put it together
Yes.
and
Yes.
buy a
Yeah.
$40,000 horse."
Yeah. So when that
Right?
horse wins, you end up with that more than that $5,000 in your pocket. You know what I mean? Let's get out there and be paying a mortgage, not paying rent.
To win a couple races, you can split the money. You can go and do whatever you want to do and buy another horse, whatever.
Yeah. And it can happen. It can happen. You just have to get the right guys together, and hopefully the right guys come together. It shows another set of guys, hey, those guys are doing it. Let's go find out what they're doing and how they're able to do that, because they're supposed to be telling us that we can't do things together. They're
I've
putting
always
it.
heard that.
You know,
Always heard
they're telling us that, but it's just brainwash education that they're telling us we can do it. You know what I mean? You're seeing other people around you doing it. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean? It's not that hard. Let's come together and listen to the words of Bob Marley and all the other guys that are telling us things. Read your Bible a little bit and see all the things that, you know what I mean, and educate each other and do this, man. Don't be fighting and want to beat each other and want to, want the next pretty girl and the next this and next that. You know what I mean? I had a guy say to me, you know what I mean? I was driving my car at the Woodman racetrack, and a guy said to me, man, you black guys, want to drive nice cars and live in rundown houses. You know what I mean? Sean, you shake your head at that, but I didn't shake my head like that. My reaction wasn't that. You know what I mean? Think about it. Let's be honest here. Let's think about it a little bit. How many guys, young guys, drive nice cars? How many of them live at their mother's house?
Well,
Be honest.
you mean here in Barbados?
Not in the world.
I think there's a few of them.
Okay. So when a guy said that to you, right? Your reaction is that. My reaction wasn't that. This guy's got a point. This guy's got a point, right?
But I'm surprised that he came to you with that. That was
Yeah.
shocked about.
He's an outspoken guy, and he wants to say something like that. You know what I mean? So,
but what Leroy said is like he took away the positive from
thank you, Derek.
everything else.
Thank you, Derek.
That's being
Thank
said.
you. Thank
right?
you. Thank you.
It's very important.
But you know what that guy did for me, Sean?
Uh-huh.
He motivated me to another level.
It's that chip, man. That chip on the shoulder.
He motivated me to another level. And the next morning, I want to be able to see that guy and says, "Morning, how are you doing? I hope you have a nice day." That's the mentality I want to face that guy with the next day. Not look him and say and call him the F word or nothing. That's not my style. I want to say, hey, what that guy's trying to tell me. I'm going to go buy a pretty car. Got to pay for it. Can't pay my mortgage, or can't feed my kids, or go live at somebody, or go pay rent. You understand? Why don't bite off more than you can chew? These are the things that we got to understand in life. And when people tell you things, Sean, listen carefully.
Sometimes the truth hits people in different spots.
Yeah, but we got 2 eyes and 2 ears, 1 mouth. Let me listen and observe. You know what I mean? That's why you leave school at 15 years old. You don't have that kind of education, but you can still get educated by listening and observing and keeping your big mouth shut. You know what I mean? Knowing that, hey, there's better out there. This guy just says something to you. Why of all people you come to choose to tell me? Well, hey, maybe God just sent a message to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm surprised that somebody would come to you with that, though. I mean, I'm shocked.
But that's the kind of but there's the kind of people that you surround with that there's a guy might see, a guy trying to be successful and can't stand the fact that he's being successful. It hurts.
That's
people.
Right.
It hurts people to see that. You know what I mean? I had a trainer in the paddock one time. You know what I mean? And we were on the back side, and usually the horses at the front side got to come around, and before you go. And I was at this time to go, and he was standing like go. And I said, just give me a minute, because I don't want to bring my horse out the paddock, the box too early, because she can be a little ranted, right? Because she's got to walk around there. I want to keep her relaxed. And because I tell him, hold on a minute, he had something to say to me. Because you're working with Rebecca, you think you're better than somebody else? You know what I mean? But I didn't take that kind of way again, because a week after, that guy had a horse broke down on the track, and I was standing there and was the first body rush of that horse and hold it for him. You understand? So we got to stop letting words of our mouth, or people's mouth, affect us the wrong way. You know what I mean, Sean? And again, a lot of the youngsters are getting the paddock back home and chirping at each other. That don't get you nowhere, man. It doesn't get you nowhere. Sit back and observe and understand, man. Hey, what that guy just said to me, is that something that I should react to or walk away from? That's the first thing you ask yourself that.
I hope people are listening to you.
First thing you got to do, stop and think first, man. Don't respond first. Think first. You know what I mean? It's just like, Steve Harvey said he used to stutter as a kid growing up, right? He couldn't talk. He stuttered. And the teacher asked him to write, all the kids in the classroom write on a piece of paper what you want to be growing up. And when she got to his paper, who wrote this? I want to be on TV. And he, me. So he thought, hey, whoa, I'm gonna get a star here now. He goes up there. Who in your family can make TV? Who wrong you can get on TV? Not the
Yeah.
kid right now. He can talk. He
Yeah.
stuttered. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But look where he is today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what? The joking thing about it. Every year for Christmas, he bought a flat screen TV and sent to that lady's house, that teacher's house. You know what I mean. And the other thing I want to teach you about
Like a
is
true comedian.
yeah, true comedian. But you know what I mean? He take it the right way. You know what I mean? Who's on TV now? Who can buy your scratch screen TV? And he says, because he used to stutter, and he brought a girl on the show that used to stutter, and he says, "Come here, I'm gonna show you something. Before you talk, say what you're gonna say to yourself 3 times, and then talk, and it stop her stuttering." So I'm saying to you, before you react to what people have to say, think.
Yeah.
Knowledge, kid, Sean. You know what I mean? So don't, when somebody say that to you, don't sit back and say something like that, Sean. Just listen first. All right?
Well, I mean, they always say can't teach your old dog new tricks, but
Yeah.
you're rubbing off on me. Your goodness
you have
is rubbing off on me.
We have to. Yeah. We have to do things like that, man. We can be better than what we are. We just have to understand, man, that you know what? Stop, think, don't react. And there's places out there for us to go and continue to, not get knowledge and understand. You don't have to. Some guys that can't read, they can watch TV. You can listen to a podcast, or you can listen to a book on your phone or something. We got so much
Right.
to our thing right now. I got books on my phone that I listen to all the time. You know what I mean? To motivate me and to help me in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So you can't read. Hey, download a book on your phone. Don't go and download some dirty movie on your phone. Download a book that can teach you something. You know what I mean? I want to talk to the next pretty girl. You want to get the next pretty girl, get the next pretty job. And they come easy.
Words of wisdom, man. Listen to Leroy Trotman. He got the lines.
I'm an agent. I'm an agent. When I say so, again, guys, I don't want to take up no more of your time either, because you guys got to get up to work in the morning. I don't. You know what I mean? I get to sleep in tomorrow again. But it's been a pleasure. You know what I mean? And hopefully out there who's listening to us and watching us has able to take something from myself and you guys and what you guys are doing, and enable you guys to continue to do what you're doing, to be more successful in what you're doing, and hoping to touch the right people. And Sean, is anything that I can do to help any of those youngsters in Barbados? If I can do it, I am here ready and willing to do it. I'm not saying I can do it. If I can do it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it, but if I can do it, and if there's somebody that I need to go to, or you ask me to go see for me and relay a message to them for me and see what is the response or something, just shout out. My phone, my phone is my phone is my life. It's connected to my hip. It's part of me.
I definitely will be reaching out to you, because I got there's a group in Barbados, all youngsters, and they start this group, and it's really about mentorship and young men and a different time. So they're hoping that they can change some things, bring some positivity to youths.
Yeah.
And you'll be good for that, for those guys to see.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good.
And I'm definitely taking a trip to Barbados this year. Definitely taking a trip to Barbados this year. I'm saving it.
After talking, you got me so motivated. Now I don't know what I can do it myself. I can't.
You know what you're gonna do with yourself. It's not that you don't know. You know, it's just where to start.
There you go. You see,
it's where you already. I said where you gotta continue, because you already started. It's just where you're gonna continue. That's all it is.
Journey.
It's just giving you that extra drive now, and that's what I take a piece from everybody that I meet and get to understand from, because who's there to give me that next push? Because you need to go through that rocky road. I don't want it no peaches and cream. I want a little dirt and a little grunt and stuff to keep on saying, hey, get up and go again. When you get too relaxed and too comfortable in your shoes, everything just goes through the window. You know what I mean? So
I think it's good to remember that.
Yeah, we got to keep grinding, man. We got to keep grinding. So
great talk to you. Great, man. I mean, you brought give me goosebumps and all tonight, man. So it's great.
Yes, no, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And like you see, I got all my jockeys at Woodbine on the back of my wall up there, signed and
Yes,
everything,
yes,
autographed and everything up there. You know what I mean? So, you take pride in everything that you do, man. Take pride in what you
yes.
do. And I
It's
make sure I found this
it's
shirt to
flag.
put on because I want people to see, hey,
Yes. Is there a
That's
flag
right.
on the wall?
yeah, that's my clock over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Beautiful, man.
yeah,
Beautiful.
keep driving. And forgetting the Little Rock, man. The Little Rock is done. It's brought the best out of them, and it brought some great people and some great accomplishments, man.
Yes.
So, hey,
Uh,
keep doing what you guys doing, and please make sure when every time you got this show going on Thursday, I need this link to get on, please, because I want to be. I don't want to be listening 2 days after Sean like you keep making me do. All right, let's
you
change
want
that,
it right on the
please, man.
spot.
Yeah, I want my spot. I can sit and put live, and I can type something about somebody saying something to just like everybody else. Please, man, don't throw me
Oh
in the
man.
in the back, man. Please. I had to
Oh
listen and
man.
listen to that shows. I remember I listened to that the last show, Rajat Feet, 11 o'clock at night. I was listening to it.
Yes.
Wow.
I sent you that message. I said I just finished
Yep.
come off my phone listening to it.
Yeah.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to miss none of them, Sean, man. I want
All
to
right,
miss
brother.
none of them. You know what I
Look,
You heard
mean?
that?
for me, it's been a pleasure having you on the show,
Thank you,
man.
Derek. Thank you.
You're everything that I expected,
Thank
everything
you.
that Sean said that you would be.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you
and
for those who
for me personally, as I said earlier, watching you from years ago in the ring and
yes.
to where you are right now, to who you're connected with, to where you evolve, you've grown in the sport,
Yeah.
and you're willing to bring others along.
Gotta
It's a
help others,
beautiful
man.
thing. I
Gotta
think
help
that
people.
guys under you should listen and
We gotta
appreciate
help.
that journey
Gotta help
because
each
it's
other.
not that easy.
No, no.
You
We
know?
gotta help each other. It's important to help each other, man. We can't leave a guy behind, man. You got like you watch soldiers in the war. You don't leave a man behind. Man down, go
No,
pick him up. Let's go. All
that's
right.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Let's grab somebody and grab somebody's hand and let's go, man. Let's pick somebody up.
Thank you for coming
Yeah.
on the show
Thank you,
tonight, man.
man.
Really appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thanks again.
Leroy.
Thanks again.
And I want to say,
Just a
this
salute, man.
season,
It's salute
I
you.
hope
Thank you.
everything goes well.
Thank you.
I'm sure we probably won't see you because you're not in the ring no more. So,
No, no.
but we'll know who your jockeys are,
Yeah.
Mika and Missing Person, and perhaps
Yes.
uh,
Perhaps.
somebody else.
Yes. Again, man. Thank
Thank
you and God bless you and be safe out there and stay safe as this with this thing that's going on in the world today. But let's take this moment and thank God for having us to be able to be here tonight to speak to each other and touching somebody out there, God. And hopefully, dear Father, that Derek and Sean can continue the drive that they're driving and the car that they're driving and the way they're driving it to and in the direction that they're driving it and be safe doing it and touching the hearts that they have to touch in your name, your son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Guys,
Thank you,
Really
brother.
appreciate that.
all right.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
Thank you again.
wonderful night. All
You
right.
have a good night.
Thank you
Bye, brother.
again, guys. All
All
right.
right,
Thank
God bless. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's a wow moment, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because
Wow.
we've been talking for over 3.5 hours, and I feel like we're just talking a half hour.
Oh man.
And the knowledge and I know this guy just pumped you up, man. I told
You
you
know
that.
what? We need that. We need that. Because to be honest, like especially today, there's a lot of guys who we just follow. A lot of people follow the same pattern, right? And we get somebody who can come and say, "Look, forget whatever that person is saying. Take the positive out of all the negative things that person is saying. Just take the positive stuff." And that's what we need, and that's what people need, right? You know, it's easy to follow everybody else and what they're saying.
Yeah. But as I said, man, this guy was always special. He was always one of our special Barbadian guys from way back. I'm not surprised by the man he's turned into, and he's still in the battle. And I know there's still a lot more he will do for Barbadian people going forward. And I wish him all the luck in whatever he does and what he continues to do, man. That's all I
Me
can say
too,
about
man.
this guy.
Really, really appreciate him. All right, so on that note, that's it. But next week we're gonna promise you another entertaining and another good show. We're gonna try to bring some of the best people, so that they can say do their thing and inspire some people and actually share their story and let's see where they came from. Right? There's lots of people out there. Lots of people.
Yep. We're looking for the journey, and many great journeys out there.
Well, on that note, people, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Until next week, God bless, and we're out.
Good night.
Good night.